Attention Autopia drivers. Please remain seated in your car at all times.
Sorry for the hold-up, folks. There seems to be a slow-moving train up ahead, so we got to sit here for a spell.
Avast there, mateys. Avast there. Keep a lookout for the moving gangplank.
Well, I can see my old buddy Mike Feedback, the technician up there in the control booth, has given me the signal to take 5. Now don't go away, because we have some very special entertainment to follow.
WDW Radio, your information station.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. I am your host, Lou Mangello, and this is show number 578, and I'm here to help you have not just the best possible Disney vacation experience when you go to the parks, but I also want to bring you a little bit of that Disney magic wherever you are with the podcast, live video broadcasts every Wednesday night on Facebook, videos, blog, special events, and more. And whether you're a first-time visitor or have been to the parks hundreds of times, if you're planning a vacation or love the history, details, secrets, and stories, there's something in the show for you, because each week I'm going to take you from the parks to the screens and everything in between. If you're a new listener, thank you, welcome. Please go back and check out some or all the past episodes for interviews, top 10s, reviews, and more. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes and find everything else at WDWRadio.com. So when Disney Cruise Line announced that they would be sailing from New Orleans beginning in 2020, I knew right away that it was a cruise we had to take together as a group. So this week, we're going to recap and review our WDW Radio group cruise on the inaugural sailing of the Disney Wonder out of New Orleans. We'll discuss our time and events in New Orleans, as well as everything from the embarkation process to cabins, dining, activities, shows, our WDW Radio special events, and lots more. And we'll also look at cruising from a number of different perspectives, including as a family, solo traveler, cruising with special needs, first-time cruisers, and lots more. We'll also announce what's next for a very special WDW Radio group cruise. I'll then announce the winner of our last Spread the Word contest and tell you how you can enter for a chance to win another $100 in Disney gift cards with a brand new giveaway. Then stay tuned to the end of the show, as I'll have more information about upcoming WDW Radio events, our Meet of the Month over Disney Princess Half Marathon Weekend, your voicemails, and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. On February 7th, 2020, Disney Cruise Line did something that they've never done before, which is set sail from the port of New Orleans. And I literally remember the day in September of 2018 when Disney revealed via video that they were going to take you there, and by you, I mean us, to New Orleans. And I also remember texting Becky Mankin from Mouse Fan Travel as it was going on, saying that we had to do this cruise. I had visited New Orleans as a kid with my parents. I remember going like the World's Fair was there. And then again a few years ago when we did a WDW Radio on the road event during the Rock and Roll Half Marathon Weekend, which was really just an excuse for me to go to New Orleans. And I truly fell in love with the city and the people and the food, obviously the music, history, architecture, and found that there was this incredible energy and vibe that I really hadn't seen or felt elsewhere. So this cruise was a no-brainer. And I love the idea of being able to experience the flavors and the flair of the Big Easy, both ashore as well as on board the Disney Wonder, with places like Tiana's Place and that jazz and live music at the oh so very cool French Quarter Lounge, which we'll talk about a lot, and lots of other surprises inspired by The Princess and the Frog. So I was really all in on this cruise from the very beginning. And if we're going to do it, I think we had to do it like as soon as possible. So we instantly booked the inaugural cruise out of New Orleans, which was a 7-night cruise to Nassau, Castaway Cay, my favorite port anywhere, and Key West, which I found is one of the coolest ports anywhere. So we put out the call to friends literally from around the world who joined our WDW Radio family, because we're more than a group and we're more than friends. We really are family, to come together. And from first-time cruisers to solo travelers, families, couples, singles, and everything in between, we had such an amazing group coming together. And this week, I invited many of them to join me as we recap and review our WDW Radio New Orleans cruise on the Disney Wonder. And I'd like you to please join me and welcome some of my longtime friends who were on the cruise and joining me around the virtual table tonight. I've always believed in ladies first. I still do, but tonight it's ladies' night and the feeling's right. Oh yes, it's ladies' night. Oh, what a night. Sorry for the old 70s reference. First, because this couldn't have happened without her, Becky Mankin from MEI and Mouse Fan Travel.
It's so great to be back again and to talk about something that I'm already missing.
Speaking of missing, it's not just Tiana and Cabanas in the French Quarter Lounge that I miss. It's also Amanda Bonner from Disney Travel for All.
It's been a few days since I last heard your voice, and
I'm
so happy to be back and hear your voice again. Can't wait to talk about this wonderful cruise.
And back on the show as well is Lisa Donato Glassner from thecastlerun.com.
Hey guys, yeah, it's been hard to be off the ship, so glad to be here and remember it all with all of you.
And long time, not just friend, but WDW Radio blogger extraordinaire. I think you've been on the show, but it was a while ago, right? Vanessa Prince?
I think a long time ago, yeah.
Well, welcome back. It has been way too long. Vanessa Prince, by the way, mother of Andrew Prince, also a member of the WDW Radio blog team, and I think longtime listener, first-time participant, Crystal Steers from ChasingHappiness.ca.
Yes, definitely longtime listener, first-time joiner in all of the fun, and I'm so excited that we get the opportunity to talk about this. I absolutely already miss being on the boat.
Well, again, I wanted you all to come on because not just because you've been friends and we had such a great time and we spent a lot of time together on the cruise, but I really felt that each of you brings a little bit something different to the content and conversation, from solo travelers to first-time cruisers, repeat cruisers, special needs, coming with families. So I want to talk, if you can each sort of go through, maybe in the same order that I introduced you. Obviously, Becky, we know that you have cruised more than just a few times, but the rest of you,
twice.
If how many cruises is this for you? How did you come on the cruise? Did you come by yourself? Sort of tell me the dynamic of your cruise experience, and then why this one? Why this cruise out of New Orleans?
You're looking at me for that? Just
well, I know we know yours already. So, Amanda, why don't you go first?
Sure. So this was my third Disney cruise, first on the Wonder, and I've been wanting to go on one of your group cruises because they sound amazing. And I think you were kind of doing last call in August, and so I said, Crystal, do you want to go on the cruise? And it worked out great. We shared a cabin, and yeah, I'm so glad we did it.
And you guys knew each other. You met each other through Momentum, correct?
Yes, the
That's
Momentum
correct.
Retreat and then the Momentum Workshop.
I mean, I might as well throw a little plug in there for Momentum while I'm at it. So this was your third cruise. Crystal, you might as well go next because you guys, obviously you met at Momentum and decided to take the plunge, not just to take the cruise, but to room together.
Yeah, so Amanda had contacted me and said you were doing this, and did I want to sort of join in the fun? And I've sort of been on activities with you before and another cruise with you a long time ago. And so, yeah, I absolutely jumped at the opportunity. I hadn't cruised with Disney since 2014. This was my 5th cruise, my 2nd time on the Wonder. It's been refurbed since I was on it, and I've never been to New Orleans. So that was a huge selling point, to be able to have a couple of days there just to check it out and sort of get the opportunity to dig my feet in and see whether or not it was somewhere I wanted to go back to at some point.
I have a feeling I think I know the answer to that question, but we'll come back to that as we talk about New Orleans. Lisa, what about you?
So I've been on many cruises before, but this was only our 2nd Disney cruise. And for us, our first Disney cruise was also with you guys. It was Alaska in 2018, also on the Wonder. And that was kind of the trip of a lifetime in a lot of ways. But coming out of that, I really was ready for a trip that required a little bit less preparation and a little bit more relaxation. So, sailing out of somewhere closer by that was going to warmer weather and was a little bit more ship focused rather than excursion and port focused was high on our list. And we too had never been to New Orleans. So the chance to be able to go somewhere closer, sail out of a place we've never been to before, and then take a trip that was a little bit more focused on enjoying the ship and relaxing together was a priority. And, needless to say, we always like traveling with you guys. So it was an easy sell.
Keep cruising, because eventually you're going to get to a port that's really close to where you live, as opposed to two of the going from Alaska to you're getting closer to Port Canaveral. It's going to happen soon. Although, well, never mind.
Slowly working our way there.
And Vanessa, I know that we have cruised together as well.
Yes, this was my 3rd time with WDW Radio, and it was my 18th cruise with Disney Cruise Line.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that many.
Yeah. Well, we've done a lot of European traveling, again, Alaska, all over out of Miami, just different ports. We like trying new ones out. And I think that's what intrigued us about going out of New Orleans was it was something new. They'd never done it before. And I actually brought one of my neighbors with us. I brought half my family, a couple neighbors, and some other friends along on the cruise. So we really enjoyed the experience.
Is the other half of your family still bitter and jealous that they were not able to come?
A little bit, but school calls. So believe me, they're spoiled enough, so they're good.
18 cruises. Yeah. I think I want to be adopted by the Prince family as well. So, but let's talk about New Orleans, because New Orleans was obviously a huge attractor and selling point for this cruise. And obviously with the way the Wonder has been refurbished and themed and decorated with Tiana's and the French Quarter Lounge, it was a perfect fit. So tell me about your New Orleans experience, because I think a lot of people came in early to explore and enjoy so much of what New Orleans has to offer. I only wish that I was able to come in earlier and maybe even stay later, because like I said in the intro, I really fell in love with New Orleans. So again, maybe in the same order, but Becky, you can go first. When did you arrive in New Orleans? And we'll talk about our WDW Radio pre-cruise events. But what did you do while you were there? And by what did you do, I'm really focusing on what did you eat. But tell me about your pre-cruise New Orleans experience.
Well, I was really excited about this port because I, like several of you, had never been to New Orleans before myself. So out of the entire United States and all the places you have to go within the U.S., that was always one that I had on the list that I had to visit. There's several really cool, dark and twisty things about New Orleans that I've always been kind of drawn to. I couldn't find a Ludo doll, but I'm working on it still. But anyway, I got there a couple of days.
You asked many people for it, and they gave you very
I was trying to
odd
find
looks.
somebody to find me a voodoo doll thing that I could, find, because that would be such a great addition to my collection. But I came in 2 days earlier because coming from Seattle, obviously I kind of lose a day in transit. But that first day when it was, the weather wasn't exactly perfect the day that I arrived or the next day. But I kind of walked around a little bit just to get the flavor of the city. And I did not go eat anything extraordinarily cool because I was kind of waiting for you guys. So I was working, prepping for the cruise in the room, and I had, hey, room service, yay. So that first day by myself before you guys arrived, it wasn't all that exciting, but I did get a chance to kind of walk around a little bit and see the architecture and the things that you see in all the postcards and what everybody's talking about when you're talking about the French Quarter of New Orleans. So I was really excited about being there.
Amanda?
I did not wait for all of you to eat something delicious. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention, I also have never been to New Orleans. So I was really excited to go and experience everything about the city and what an extraordinary history it has, and just the architectural, the artistry. So I arrived earlier than Crystal, and I travel a lot solo. So I had a solo lunch at Commander's Palace in the Garden District, which Mark Bologna had recommended on his Beyond Bourbon Street podcast. And he did not steer me wrong. It was a wonderful lunch, and it had a business attire dress code. However, they had 25-cent martinis. So a limit of 4 and 1, just one. And it was fantastic. It was right across from one of, I think, Lafayette Cemetery, which was closed, but it could peek through. And I know a couple of you might touch on that later, on the cemeteries and how unique they are. And then Crystal came in, and I wanted to go to Bourbon Street. So it's kind of like Times Square. I used to live in New York, where you go and you experience it and you realize how touristy and loud and neon it is. And you could say you've been there. And then we went elsewhere for dinner and had a wonderful dinner at Mr. B's Barbecue Shrimp. And I did wear a bib. and I'll let
Which
Crystal
was very
tell
much
about-
necessary. Let's be fair. The girl
It
warned
was-
us.
But is it
Yes.
not one of the best things you've ever put in your mouth? Like when you hear barbecue shrimp, it's not what you're thinking that you get anywhere else. It's it's an experience, and you want to just sop up all the the juice and stuff with the bread. I can't believe I missed.
Oh,
Mr.
the
B's.
bread was all incredible.
Right?
And I'll let Crystal fill everybody in on Thursday, because we also had an extraordinary experience Thursday.
Yeah, so we did wander around quite a bit, as much as we could. Well, let's be fair. We started off at Café du Monde because, as I'm sure you will talk about, Lou, we had an event there. So when we left there, we went across the street to Jackson Square, took some pictures, wandered around a little bit. There was actually a couple of tours that were going on, private tours that were going on. So I was sneaking around the square, sort of kind of listening to some of the history, because I'm as a Canadian, not entirely familiar with all of it. So that was super fun. And then we went into the cathedral that was there. Amanda, what was the name of the cathedral? St.
Louis Cathedral.
St. Louis.
Which was super beautiful, breathtaking almost when you walked in. I think both Amanda and I took a couple of minutes just to sort of sit and have a moment of meditation and prayer and whatever else. I wandered around and took a few pictures very politely and discreetly, because there was a mass going on at the time. And then we went next door. Actually, I think we went and grabbed something to eat first, and then we went next door. And because Mark had suggested we check out one of the museums there, we went to one of the museums where the bottom floor was all about the history of Katrina and sort of what's happened since and sort of what happened during. And then the top floor was all the history about Mardi Gras, which was kind of eye-opening, I want to say. At the end of it, both Amanda and I kind of looked at each other and said, wow, there is a lot about this that we didn't know or understand as to sort of how we've gotten to what Mardi Gras is today.
Yeah, it was really fascinating. That was the Presbyterian Museum next to the cathedral. And it was a beautiful area because there was another museum on the other side of the cathedral, and all that within a block. And on the corner of that was Café du Monde. So much in just that little area to explore.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa, what about you guys?
So we actually drove. We're a driving family. So we bit the bullet and did the 9 or 10 hour drive there, which was actually really nice because we found some really good spots along the way to check out little hole in the wall food joints and stuff. That's why we like to drive. But we got there 2 days early. Like I said, we too have never been to New Orleans. So we dug in right from the start and also did not wait for the others to start eating. We went to I think kind of a local spot that Mark also had recommended, Mark Bologna, called Joey K's. for a meal that first night that we were there, and ate quite a bit. And I'll say, like, just as a whole, that I really loved my first couple of days in New Orleans. But if you're going to kick off a cruise somewhere, I don't know, like, ideally you don't want to get on the ship already feeling
Yeah,
100% true.
So that was the one drawback, the one delightful drawback to New Orleans, was that I had gorged myself on like fried catfish and gumbo and beignets and king cake and on and on the 2 days before we even got on the ship. So yeah, I was already heftier than usual when we boarded. But no, so we did a lot of the same things as you guys. Of course, we did the Café du Monde with the rest of the group, and the steamboat that I'm sure we'll talk about, the Natchez, which I'm sure I'm pronouncing wrong, which was chilly but awesome. And then we also went to one of the cemeteries. We went to St. Louis number 3 because it was, a couple of them were closed, and I know some needed tour guides. So we were able to get into number 3 by ourselves and walk around a bit. And I'm a little bit of a photography buff, so I got to kind of go around with my DSLR and take some gorgeous shots there, and that was awesome. So yeah, and it was chilly, which was kind of surprising. I mean, I guess coming out of Florida, you have to remind yourself that the rest of the world isn't 80 some degrees in February. So yeah, it was a little bit chilly to kick off, which was kind of nice as a contrast as we moved into the Bahamas.
Vanessa, what about you and the rest of the Prince clan?
Well, we arrived early on Wednesday, and we did a lot of walking. So even though we ate a lot, I think we burned most of it off because we had to walk. It's sort of an accessible city, but you can't just hop in a taxi or an Uber and get somewhere. So we definitely burned some calories off. But we went to Central Grocery and had a muffaletta and enjoyed that. They're huge. I mean, we ordered a whole, and it took all 3 of us to finish it. Again, Andrew had never been to Bourbon Street. I've been to New Orleans several times, so we were trying to get him around and show him all the different things like Jackson Square, Bourbon Street. We walked out to Louis Armstrong Park. We also went to Brennan's for brunch on Thursday after we had beignets for breakfast. And then Andrew also wanted to do Preservation Hall, so we already had booked our reservation for that and really enjoyed hanging out there and getting a taste of the jazz scene in New Orleans.
Yeah, my original plan was to come in early. Life, sometimes gets in the way, so we were able to get in Thursday and met up with Becky. And we had some pre-cruise WDW Radio events planned ahead of time, which was a meetup at Café du Monde because New Orleans, and then we did a nighttime dinner jazz cruise on the steamboat Natchez. Again, I apologize in advance for the rain that you had. Not that I had any control, but I felt so bad because the day before it was raining and hailing, and I felt so bad. And then it was a little chilly even on Thursday. But
can I just go back to Café du Monde really quickly?
Yeah, I was getting to Café du Monde. I wasn't moving past that just yet.
Awesome. But I just want to point out the one thing that shocked me, because that's what I've always heard about was Café du Monde. That was the place you had to go. That's the chicory coffee that you have to have. I didn't realize that it also required 6 inches of powdered sugar on top of the little doughy, piece of heaven. But couldn't even figure out how to eat it because there was so much powdered sugar piled on top. That was amazing.
I was the only one who thought to wear white.
I had my rain poncho on. I was good. It was just falling right off.
You guys planned well. You planned accordingly. I walked in a dark blue shirt and a dark coat. So yeah. But then I had powdered sugar for later, apparently. So.
But wearing the sugar, and there's something about that vibe at Café du Monde, which is so much fun. And even people who weren't coming on the cruise were able to come and get together and spend some time there. And everybody sort of went off on their own and did their own thing. Becky, we had hung and sort of just walked around the French Quarter a little bit. And then, we keep mentioning the name Mark Bologna. He's been a longtime friend. He was a coaching client of mine who has the Beyond Bourbon Street podcast and website. Like, talk about a guy who's taking his passion and turning it into something that he loves to share. He gave everybody so many great tips, one of which was to go to St. Louis Cemetery number 3, which open, and there was something like, it was cool that it was overcast and a little bit cold and a little bit damp. Like, it gave a little bit more of the feel and the vibe to the cemetery, as if it was like a beautiful sunny day. He actually came out and met us and toured us around. But again, if you are a photographer or a history buff, it was just fascinating to walk through and see some of the crypts that have been there for 100+ years. Some that were Becky found her ideal crypt.
Oh, wow.
There was one literally designed like a castle, and she's like, "This is it. This is where I want to be." And then we went to eat.
I'm sorry, that was just so amazing walking through the cemeteries. And I am one of those, yes, dark and twisty people that I do like to explore cemeteries when I go to different places, and you find the dates, you look at the dates, you look at the people, you look at the history, and somebody made a crypt out of it, made a castle, and others had different things that reflected their lives and their personalities, and everything is set above ground, which is something that in where I come from is not the case. So it was very unusual, very amazing. The art, dare I say, of several of those crypts was worth the time of getting out there to which one were we at? Number 3? Was that right?
Yep. And
taking the time to go out and see this was worth every second to explore. I really loved that part of the day, and would have loved to have seen the pyramid, Nick Cage's pyramid. Maybe we'll have to do that when we go back.
Yeah, because they tell a story. Each one of them tells a story, and Mark was able to share some of the real stories, and we were able to sort of piece together our own, and then recommended us going to the Gumbo House for a fantastic lunch. Well, really, we just ate our way through New Orleans, which is the way to do it. Again, I wish we only had more time. So then we did a nighttime dinner and jazz cruise on the Steamboat Natchez, which I had done a few years ago during the day. Again, I apologize because it was so cold you couldn't stand outside, and then it was so warm in some of the rooms. So it was like we were running outside to cool off and then running back in to warm up, and we still had a lot of fun. It was a great way, I think, and all of you could sort of jump in. It was a great way to meet fellow cruisers, break the ice a little bit, and I learned a lot too, not just about New Orleans, but about the steamboats as well.
Well, and I also think, even though, yes, at certain points, even for this Canadian, it was a little cold outside, as we went on throughout the night and we got closer to coming back up the Mississippi to New Orleans, I think it got a little bit better. It was less windy. We were able to get outside and take some pictures. We were able to take some video. So I think overall, even though it was a little chilly, it was 100% worth it. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
During the day,
awesome.
a little bit warmer.
It was. No, it was cold. I mean, I think it was cold even as we were getting closer. But no, I mean, I loved just having the chance, and it might have not been the worst thing because it kind of forced us all to be in those indoor congregating areas. So rather than being outside, just strolling around the ship and taking pictures and being in our own worlds, we were confined a bit more to the indoor spaces. And I know at least I was talking a lot more to people that we were going to be sailing with, and
Absolutely.
that ended up being a really nice thing. And I also loved being able to go into the engine room, especially having my two boys with me and spending time with the people that were running the ship and learning about how it worked and just kind of seeing the history there as well was very, very cool. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely a very brisk night, but I don't really think it mattered.
But I think the time we spent, whether it was a couple of days or 1 day, really helped to sort of, it was like an appetizer for the cruise. It sort of whet our appetite because you're hearing words and some of the different food items are unique. The muffaletta sandwich, again, I had never had it before. It's this, it's like a loaf of bread that's split, and it has like an olive salad and salami and ham, Swiss cheese and mortadella on it, which is a quintessential New Orleans food item. We had Sazeracs. I had Sazeracs in the past, which was, it's for some, it's an acquired taste. I really I'm not a big drinker, but yeah, so I really enjoyed it. And when we saw it on the cruise, it was a nice transition from one to another. But let's sort of talk about getting on the ship itself, because we've got 7 days and multiple ports to cover. Again, having cruised out of Vancouver, out of Port Canaveral, out of Miami before, I was really curious to see how the embarkation process was going to go leaving out of New Orleans, because this is obviously very new for Disney. Becky, you and I got on again with some of the agents so we can prepare things earlier. But talk a little bit about, Becky, and then anybody else wants to chime in, about the embarkation process, actually getting on board the ship itself.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting when you embark at a destination or in a port that has not hosted that particular cruise line before. There are sometimes some packing your patience as they try to figure out how to best navigate the people who are departing the ship, as well as trying to get on the ship. And something that is kind of not typical of many of the cruise lines, you don't see people show up at 9:30 or 10 a.m. like you do with Disney cruisers. On several of the others, you do between 10, 11, 12. But Disney cruisers tend to show up really early. And we did see that in this scenario. But giving them a little bit of leeway, because it was their first time. There were a couple of little hitches here and there, but they were figuring it out quickly, and they were trying to redirect people to the right lines and make things as smooth as possible. So I was really impressed that they did such a great job on their first time in a port, which frankly isn't quite prepared for the number of guests that they have coming through. So I think that that's going to change, obviously, as New Orleans becomes much more of a hotbed for cruising, which is definitely happening right now. And I know that there's a lot of construction in the area, but once they get all of that piece out and the construction is cleared, it'll probably be a little bit smoother going forward. But given that it was their first time, I think they did a really good job of getting us moving.
Yeah, I think Go ahead.
I think that I was really impressed with how smoothly everything went as well, especially also considering the fact that it was Mardi Gras season. So they were obviously having to navigate a lot of additional traffic on embarkation and debarkation day with, related to Mardi Gras. So it was also just really cool to see like everyone earning their ears that was working that day. And they all just were really, really enthusiastic in that way. Obviously, they were all, handling Disney cruisers for the first time. And I just thought everybody did a really, really great job. And, if I learned anything about New Orleans during my very brief stay there, it's that the people are just really, really lovely. And it just meshed really, really well with, that Disney service experience. So, we were super, super impressed, especially considering the fact that it was the very first time that they had handled Disney cruisers.
Yeah, I completely agree. I would just give a word of caution because like Becky said, there's traffic or construction around the area. And this terminal, we were out of the Arado Street terminal next to the Julia Street terminal, where another ship was debarking and embarking. And our Uber driver did not know where he was going. And it took us, what should have been a 10-minute walk, took us a 45-minute car ride because we got stuck in a lot of traffic. So just give yourself plenty of time if you're taking a car to get to the terminal and pack your patience. But once we got in the terminal, it was, as you both said, a wonderful experience. You could tell the workers there were so excited to have us there. And we're just excited about Disney being there. And everybody in the terminal, of course, is excited to get on the cruise ship.
Yeah, I'll agree with Amanda. I actually sailed out of Miami when Disney started sailing out of Miami as well. And I would have to say, even though this was their first time, they did a much better job in this terminal of making the process actually smooth as we were going through it compared to the Miami terminal the first time around. People, even if they didn't know what was going on, there was someone literally right behind them to explain to them what they needed to do, how they needed to get people set up, to give lanyards, to do all of the things that Disney does when you check in. And there were people going around the terminal for all of the Platinum members who didn't know that there was a lounge in this terminal for them, letting them know, hey, we do have a Platinum lounge here if you want to go sit there. So I was very impressed with how they handled all that.
Vanessa, what was your experience like?
Well, ours was a little bit different. It all started even the night before when we were trying to check out how to get from our hotel, which you could see the cruise ship, maybe a half mile away. and different people are trying to scout out how to walk there, and we figured it out. And even in the morning, my husband went and ran. He's like, no, this is how we're going to do it. But we thought, well, we'll take a taxi. And at the hotel, they tried calling, I think 4 or 5 different cab companies, and nobody had an accessible vehicle for Andrew to ride in. So we were headed out. We had our luggage, and we even asked out front of the hotel, what's the best way to go. And one of the bellman, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to walk with you. So he took my luggage and we all followed him. And it was a little hike through the construction zones, the curbs across the trolley tracks. Some places we probably weren't really supposed to be walking, but we did. But it was maybe a 10-minute walk. The hardest part was we had our luggage with us. But again, he was super nice and took us right to the door where we dropped off the luggage. And then when we went in, because we're platinum, again, we had our own check-in place and had no problems waiting. I think part of the longer wait was because there was a media event or something ahead of time. So they weren't letting people ride on at 11 like we thought. So, but again, I packed my patience, and we've learned that's how it happens in cities, when they can't find a way to get you somewhere. So it was an adventure.
And so we'll talk about the first day and actually leaving port, but just very quickly, sort of go in reverse order, right? What's the first thing you do when you get on board the ship? Now, obviously, first-time cruisers, I mean, you sort of, you're looking around in awe, sort of taking in the chandelier and the decor and the multi-story atrium. But what's the first thing each of you does? Because your cabins aren't ready usually until about 1:30. So even if you're boarding, at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you have some time to kill. There's, a couple of things that you can do. Where do you go first? So Vanessa, where do you guys head first?
Usually it's Cabanas, but this time I headed down to French Quarter Lounge to try to get into a tasting on Castaway Cay, but I was unsuccessful. And then we went to Cabanas and ate. But I knew that was the play because we get a navigator when you first get there, and it tells you where to go if you need to book Palo or different things that you need to do that you maybe couldn't do online. So we went there first. And but again, definitely to go eat because we didn't eat anything in the morning before we left.
Lisa?
Oh, Cabanas. Always Cabanas.
Is all of us, other than Becky, did we all go to Cabanas first thing?
No.
Where'd you go? I'm shocked.
So typically, and Amanda and I actually discussed this prior to, but typically the first thing I'll do, aside from take a few pictures once I get on the boat, because I try to get on as early as I can, the first thing I do is go to the sit-down restaurant for lunch.
And we've done that in the past. My family doesn't like to. I like to because I like to be waited on. But
exactly, right? No, right? Start the experience right away.
Right. Well, my last cruise, I went solo, and I had a heavy carry-on bag with me. And Cabanas, I thought would be hard to navigate with that, and carrying my bag, and I was concerned about that, how crowded it gets. And then I walked through Cabanas after we went to Triton's, and I was really happy we had gone to Triton's because Cabanas can be a little bit crazy with so many people there that first day.
Mm-hmm. Even without luggage, on the very first day, you want to sit down, relax, have somebody bring you over a thing of tea, hand you a menu. You can make your choices. Exactly. I went to Tiana's place. It was perfect.
Oh, I want unlimited crab legs.
But no, a woman with a plan.
I'll also add just as an aside that one of our very first stops is also usually Senses, the spa, because we love getting access to the rainforest room for the entire trip. My husband and I will usually book that for the full trip. So one of our first stops is usually just popping in there to set that up so that we have access for the rest of the trip.
Yeah, for me, it's always Cabanas. It's sort of like my rite of passage. That's how I feel like the cruise is officially starting for me. Because the first day, you go in, you get settled into your stateroom, and we'll talk a little bit about staterooms in a second. But the one thing, you have to do your lifeboat drill always on the first day as you leave port. It seemed like we left port a little bit later than maybe a couple hours later than we were supposed to, which is fine because the party goes on. And for me, I don't remember. This is the first time I've ever seen It used to be the Sail Away party, but on the Magic and the Wonder, it's the Sail Away party, which is a slightly different party than if you've been on the cruises before. The Sail Away, the Fab Five come out. I don't know why, I dug this one so very much. Maybe because I'd seen the other ones before. I like the choice of the music. They have these giant Mickey hands, and then they were also selling the big Mickey hands. A lot of people in the crowd had Mickey hands as well. Maybe just because I was excited because I had just left Cabanas and we were taking out of port. but I really dig the Sail Away party. I think we all met up on deck 10 port side just to sort of get a view. And when I said port side, some people went, "Oh, the side that the port is on." No, I meant the side, the port side of the ship.
They were people who hadn't cruised before. They didn't know any better.
but that just was a notation for next time to remember that not the actual port side, but the port side. Still laugh about that.
So just very quickly, talking about cabins, because there's a wide variety. If you've never cruised on Disney Cruise Line before, there are a wide variety of stateroom options, and it can almost be overwhelming because there's everything from inside staterooms to very, 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 very large suites that you can cruise in. And I think sometimes there's even, there's advantages to choosing one versus the other. How many, you guys can even show hands, how many had inside staterooms? Okay, so Amanda and Crystal had inside staterooms. Lisa, Vanessa, Becky had...
I had a porthole.
A porthole. And then did you have either a balcony or porthole, Lisa?
Porthole.
Okay. And then Becky had the entire side of the ship. But
no,
don't tell people that.
I did not have the entire, and I didn't even have the biggest suite. Okay. So.
oh my poor Becky. Can somebody really? We'll be doing a GoFundMe for Becky so she can get this. But I think it really depends on how you cruise, and they don't. Forgive me, they don't do the virtual portholes in this. Right? It's only the Dream and the Fantasy.
That's the bigger boats.
Right,
yeah,
they have the virtual portholes.
But there was a bridge view on TV that we turned on a lot.
We did, absolutely, when we were in the room.
Well, and we'll talk about how much time you actually spend in your cabin as well. I mean, I think different people cruise differently. This was a 7-day cruise, so maybe you might have found that you're spending more time just sort of relaxing. One thing I will say that I noticed that they updated that I really, really like is the interface for the TV now matches the interface that you'll find at Walt Disney World resorts, sort of when you have that screen with the here it's the cruise ship and sort of the moving water, and then the menu on the bottom of watching live TV, on demand, cruise information, a number of different, very, very easy to navigate and to get information. And speaking of navigating, I think the combination of what's available on your TV in terms of daily information, not just what they do on sort of the morning shows, but information that's accessible there, and the Disney Cruise Line app, which you may have noticed the day we got off was updated. And now they have a newer version, which even a much cleaner tab-based interface, really, really simple to use. And so that's why they don't put paper navigators in your stateroom anymore, because they really want you to use the app, not just to communicate, but really to see what the itinerary is, get any information and updates that you need. And I think from a technology perspective, the TV and the app are really, really, really well done.
Yeah, I found myself using the app all the time after that
100%.
First morning of waking up and going, hey, where's my navigator so I can see where I'm supposed to be at 2:00 or whatever went through my mind. I had to remind myself that, oh, yeah, we're trying to save a tree here. Let's look at the app. And by the time I got that in my brain, I just found myself, okay, I guess what's happening today, just pulling it up on the phone and looking at all the activities that were going on. It was really convenient. I had it in my pocket all the time, so I wasn't running around going, oh no, I left my navigator in the stateroom. So I thought that was brilliant and a nice change.
Yeah, I loved having the app. I loved, like, on port days, like right at the top of your screen was the disembarkation and time and the time that you needed to be back on the ship. And then I love that, each day you can just sort of favorite your, the activities that you want to do. And then not only is it there for you for easy access, but then also a notification will pop up on your phone, 15 or whatever it was minutes prior to the activity happening, reminding you of it. So I would just sort of in the morning or the night before go through the various activities and heart the ones that interested me or my kids. And then I knew I would get the reminder throughout the day.
The push notifications are really nice. It's a really nice addition.
As long as you have the app open, though. You have to have the app open.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
But I still went and got my paper navigators. I have them sitting right here with me as my little souvenir. Because they are nice to kind of be able to scan a different way than you can on the app and look and see what overlaps or further out. I guess I'm old school on the navigators, but again, I like them as a souvenir. So.
Well, and it's funny because I talked to Amanda about this because the last time I sailed prior to this cruise, the app didn't exist. That wasn't a thing that Disney had. So it was always paper navigators. So I told Amanda in the beginning, I thought I was going to be the person that went to guest services every day to get the paper navigator. But after day one, because the reminder showed up on my watch, and it would just tell me, this is what you favorited. This happens in 15 minutes in this place. I found that I didn't have a need for the navigator to circle all of the things that I wanted. So I definitely, absolutely prefer the app now.
And I also really enjoy the onboard chat feature.
Yes.
We do that with either one person or a group chat.
We used that a lot.
We did use that quite a bit. So I think that's a great feature, and all the fun Disney emojis that are along with it.
And I like being able to text home too, having left my girls. It was nice new feature that just came out in the last probably 6 months that you could do iMessage back home. You couldn't send pictures or anything, but I was able to make sure they were okay. One morning I had to get up really early and make sure somebody was awake. And, it was a comfort to me to be able to do that through their Wi-Fi and everything through the app. So it was a good feature to have.
Yeah, I always had this initially I was somewhat reticent when the app came, and I'm like, oh no, because for a long time a cruise was the only place that you could go to, and you just had to take your phone. You were forced to disconnect, just put the phone in the safe and forget about it. And you guys are too young to remember this. There was a time when you couldn't get Wi-Fi on board. So really, ages ago when I cruised, if you wanted to call your girlfriend back home, you had to go to the radio room and they had to make the call for you and connect. Whatever. I was a stupid young kid. And by young kid, I was like,
what did that cost?
Wow.
Yeah, don't ask. Let's not have that conversation now. However, the wave phones, which Disney introduced a number of years ago, were fine. They were a little clunky because you had to do the ABC 1, 2, 3 in order to texting. So it was a little cumbersome. And as much as I almost didn't like having to have the phone in my hand because the temptation to get online was there, now I agree with you. The chat feature works wonderfully. It's a great way, especially if you have kids on board, to make sure you can stay in touch with each other. And I do love the push notifications as well. And even though we weren't able to use the update on board, I did have it up. I did download it right before I left so I could play around with it a little bit. And I even like the interface a little bit more. So it continues to improve. And a really, really nice addition. I don't think anybody really was carrying much of the wave phones.
No. Becky, I think, was the only one that I saw throughout the whole cruise that had one, but she had to have it.
To talk to the crew, right.
Yeah, that's the only way the crew can. They have this wonderful app, and the crew couldn't contact me through the chat on the app. But that's the only reason I had to carry the wave phone, which is so difficult in comparison.
Yeah, which I assume at some point will be completely phased out sooner rather than
they're just plugged in.
Yeah.
So let's go through a little bit, and I'm sort of deciding if we want to go sort of chronologically or just sort of tackling some of the big things, because one of the things I loved about this itinerary was the itinerary, and what I mean by that is having the 7-day cruise and 3 ports afforded you a sea day at the beginning, and not one but 2 sea days, where you're all nodding your heads.
Yes.
2 sea days at the end was so very nice. So maybe a way that we can do it is, because we have these 3 sea days, maybe we'll sort of talk about things that we did on board, and then we can sort of hit the ports individually. Because sea days is all about onboard activities, spa day, dining, and dining. That's really all I did. Dining is my spa. Really, Cabanas is my spa. So what did you guys have planned on your sea days? What sort of activities, if anything, did you have planned? Or what did you find and what did you do during the day at sea?
Trivia.
It was like the trivia cruise. Everybody had to go to whatever trivia was going on.
It kind of makes sense. I mean, that's really where this all began, right? It started with the Walt Disney World trivia book. So you guys make me proud.
And there were so many people at trivia too. I was amazed how packed it was. Usually there's hardly anybody there, but the adult ones were really fun and full.
Yes.
Yeah, so again, I just want to very quickly say, for those who have not cruised before, one thing I think Disney does really well is have a wide variety of activities that are available for adults, for kids, and for families. And by having the Small World Nursery, Oceaneers Club, Oceaneers Lab, Vibe, and Edge, which each are for a particular age group, from toddlers to teens to young adults, what happens a lot for families, and maybe Lisa, you can touch on this too, is when you get on board, you pre-register, you can check your kids into the clubs. We find that the kids want to spend a lot of times in the clubs because they have specific activities geared to them. A lot of times the kids won't come out except maybe to see you at dinner and the shows at night. So they have a great selection of everything from, I think a few of you mentioned, there's wine tastings and mixology classes to spa things to trivia contests. So there's a huge selection. You can do as much or as little as you want once you get on board. So Lisa, how old are your kids, and what was, just very quickly, their kids club experience like?
Yeah, so I have two boys, and they're 9 and 7 now. And this was really cool because when we went to Alaska, it was a couple of years ago. And especially for my younger son, I think the idea of being away from us for any stretch of time was still a little bit hard for him. So this was the first cruise on Disney where they were able to really kind of embrace the whole kids club thing together completely. So one of the things I think is really interesting about Disney cruises is that, you think of it as this, amazing family cruise line, but it's also a really amazing couples cruise line for families sailing together because they have so much going on for the kids. I mean, there were days, and I think we've talked about this, some of us, there were days where you would kind of go through the app and it was like, even like at 11 o'clock at night, like all the stuff you're seeing is like for the kids.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, I got a lot of time with my kids, but my kids also had a lot of time on their own in the Oceaneers Club and Lab. So, they would usually kind of have breakfast with us in the morning and then kind of pop over to the Oceaneers Club together. And there would be days that, we would kind of be in and out all day. But there were a lot of days too, where they would hang out there for, the whole day. And then we just kind of pick them up and make them go to dinner with us, which made for, a really cool, cruise for the grownups. So yeah, I think, there's a ton of stuff to do for the kids. You never have to worry that you're neglecting them if you're having adult time because you know that they're happy and well taken care of. The app is wonderful because the kids club can get in touch with you if there's anything wrong or if they want to get picked up. So you know that you'll know right away if they need you. And then we had time to sort of do all the fun things that, we've all been talking about, like the trivia and the bingo. And it was so funny because I feel like this crazy community would develop, whether it was at Crown and Fin doing trivia or obviously playing bingo, we'll talk about, I'm sure. But all these fun activities that little communities developed around, and we would get there. Even at bingo, I think there were these, I don't know, we were all chanting together, and we had, it was this lingo that developed throughout the course of the cruise, through the trivia and bingo and other things, because we all went to all of them so much together, and there were these huge communities that grew over time. And I think by the end, you couldn't get a seat at Crown and Fin for trivia.
No.
It was crazy.
It had to be pretty early.
It was, it was so funny. So yeah, so that's, I can speak forever about how amazing the Disney cruises are for kids. But I think that's the big thing. It's a great family cruise line, but at the same time, it's a really great adult cruise line if you're sailing with children.
Yeah, and they do a really good job of looking at the load factor and how many adults they have on board versus how many kids they have on board. They they tailor those activities to the people who are sailing on that particular cruise too. So if you have one of those sailings like we kind of did that had more adults than they typically sail with kids, because it's kids are in school, at least most kids are in school. I'm staring at Lou and Lisa. So they had more adults, so they kind of skewed a little bit, so that some of those trivia games were adult trivia games in Crown and Fin. So I think they do a really good job of looking at each individual sailing and cater to who's going to be on board.
Mm-hmm. And to be clear, when we say adult, it's almost a bit of adult's a bit of a misnomer. It's 18 and up, because when you say adult, there's nothing blue or adult oriented about any of these things, which I will tell you, I took my son Nicholas on board. Unfortunately, Deanna and my daughter couldn't come because of a school commitment, and there was no way I was leaving her home by herself. However, so my son is 14, and my kids have always been ones that wanted to spend time with us, which I love, right? They spent, when they were younger, they would go to the kids club, but I think they always felt that they were missing things. Maybe they're a little bit more mature, so they always wanted to participate. And my son was so frustrated because he wanted to do trivia and couldn't, not because there was anything, adult going on, just because the age was 18 and up. Although they did have some games and scavenger hunts that we played at D Lounge or in the French Quarter Lounge that we were able to do together. So I get it. And I was explaining to him, like, look, it's not to exclude you. It's because in Disney's mind, there's so many fun things going on for kids. They wouldn't think that you'd want to go and hang out with your parents, but he did. And we did a lot of the family stuff too. I know some of you guys participated with us. We did, there was like an in-room scavenger hunt. There was something new that they did this year in French Quarter Lounge, which was a scavenger hunt that took us through the entire ship and going back for clues and texting one another. It was really a lot of fun. And I think, did one of you guys win one of the? Oh no, didn't you? Well, Amanda, you won trivia a bunch of four times.
4 times.
With a lot of help. With a lot of help.
I'm so proud.
Yeah, I love the trivia, but I also love being outside. I love the adult pool area, and I actually like it better on the Wonder than I did the Dream and Fantasy. How it's set up, it seems
more
like
intimate.
Yeah, but it feels almost like a larger pool area itself. The way it's structured with the 2 hot tubs on either side, kind of real easy to get into. And I just really enjoy how that was set up, and love the spa. And as Lisa said, even the last day in the spa, there were Lisa, myself, and Carrie, another in the group, and we kind of took over the rainforest room and had a great time, quietly but enjoyable, relaxing time. I can't say enough about the spa. I had a wonderful massage. I won a scalp massage playing bingo, and had a fantastic experience at the spa.
Yeah, and just very quickly, again, for those who maybe have not been on the Wonder or any of the ships before, there is an adults-only section on Deck 3, which has a few different lounges. So in the adult section, there's the Crown and Fin pub, which is sort of this, proper English-type pub. There's the Cadillac Lounge, which is super cool, man. It looks like, a 56 Cadillac that just sort of came off Route 66, which is what this area used to be at one point. They have a piano bar in there, great place for some live music. Azure is sort of the larger venue, nightclub, comedy shows sometimes in there as well. Has this really cool Nautilus type jellyfish thing going on in there. There's also D Lounge, which is a family lounge. There's some other lounges up on deck as well. And then there's also what used to be the Promenade Lounge, which was always one of my favorite locations. I guess we should talk about it here. The French Quarter Lounge on Deck 3. Far and away, my favorite venue, possibly on any of the ships. It takes over a large portion of the port starboard side of the ship, and it's an open air lounge themed to the French Quarter. So there's an authentic trolley car, and if you looked very carefully, the number on the trolley car is the same number from the opening sequence of Princess and the Frog. There's also Dr. Facilier's voodoo room, and there's some cool Dr. Facilier's. I mean, it's just so well decorated and appointed, from theming from Princess and the Frog to, old style, French Quarter, jazz, New Orleans. And there's everything in there from family games to arts and crafts. I think almost, if not every single day, we spent a little bit of time in there, if not playing a game, listening to the incredibly talented, and forgive me that I don't remember the names, the incredibly talented husband and wife duo that sang everything from jazz to Motown, like 50s, and everything in between. It was just such a cool place, and kids can go there too. So it was a cool place just to relax before dinner, after dinner, during the day. I love, 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 love French Quarter Lounge.
I think it might have been Soulful Duo.
Is that what it is?
Soulful? Something like that. They were
there was
fantastic.
a Midtown duo too.
I really loved all of the detail in that lounge. They did such a great job of between the beads that were, over some of the decorative pieces up in the top near the ceiling, to the voodoo pieces, to the art, to everything just screamed the theme without getting in the way. And if this is the direction that they're going to go with their next ships that are rolling out, I am completely excited about that, because just that one space was so well done from the bottom to the top, from the furniture to the paint to the decor to the
coasters. Like,
I was going to say the coasters. Yeah,
I have my
all are
coaster.
collectibles.
Yes,
there may be
so
there
cool.
may be a giveaway coming at some point. Like,
and the offerings, all of the beverages were themed. Everything was down to the smallest detail to the coasters. I really loved it.
Yeah, and it's actually the space that leads into Tiana's.
Right.
So it kind of expanded that theming out, into the open space before it. And we were there. I mean, we were there every day for a lot of time, whether it was just listening to that couple sing. They were so much fun. She was so engaging with the audience, getting people like up and dancing and singing with her, or hiding behind a menu so that she wouldn't make you sing with her if you're not my husband. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful space. From Instagrammable walls to the trolley car to the coasters that were playing cards that we were collecting the whole time. I would love to see more of that very immersive theming extend to the rest of the ships.
Right. And what I like, they really expanded the area by taking out the little kids play area that was walled off. The Connect at Sea is not there anymore. And then also they moved the seats out of the walkway that were near the portholes. They put them now next to the lounge so that you can actually walk through. Even if something's happening there, people aren't in your way and you're trying to say, excuse me, trying to get to maybe Tiana's or something. They just really renovated the whole place really nice and made it more accessible to just everybody. And again, I love the detail that Becky and everybody was talking about. The more you look, the more you saw.
Yeah, that's the thing. As you walked around, like even just the newspaper that was on the wall, even little things like just, a couple of little masks above the bar from New Orleans. And I found myself on certain days, even just heading up there after breakfast while people were, getting off on Nassau Day or whatever day it was, just going up there with my laptop to do some work and just sit in the lounge. Even when music wasn't playing, it was just, it's a beautiful area.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think the ship, look, we can do an entire show just about the ship as a whole, right? Because I think there are so many wonderful little places. Look, one of my other favorite places to go is Cove Cafe, which is, it's in the adults only section, much to the chagrin of my son who loves the matcha green tea. So I would sneak him in every so often, but it's an adults only coffee and wine bar. There's a full actually bar menu there, as well as it. Pro tip, they have some wonderful little snacks and noshes you can get there throughout the day. And they're in a case, so people think like you can't have them when you have to pay for them. They're free. They're delicious. So we would go there and get like a matcha green tea every day. And there's other, little, there's Preludes lounges there as well. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so it doesn't have the other lounge, the other little coffee area on deck 4. But I prefer the the classic ships, right? The legacy ships, the Magic and the Wonder. I prefer the smaller ships a little bit. There's something a little bit more quaint and intimate about them. The Magic has been my favorite ship. Man, the French Quarter Lounge I love so much. It's really inching the Wonder up little by little by little. Because, like you said, the combination of the French Quarter Lounge and Tiana's really makes for a wonderful space on that side of the ship. Maybe, I mean, since you guys keep bringing it up, maybe dining is a thing we should talk about. I know this is really not your thing. Again, if you've never cruised on Disney, there is a dining rotation. There are 3 main restaurants in addition to the Cabanas Buffet, which you can go to any night for dinner. There is Tiana's Place, Animator's Palette, and Triton's. And based on what is on your key card, you will rotate through. Thanks to our friends over at MAI and Mousefan Travel, we have what I think was the perfect dining rotation.
It really
Absolutely.
Because of when we started, when we finished, because every night is themed differently. And I don't just mean, pirate night, but Animator's Palette has a show. Tiana's Place has different shows. There's a Mardi Gras night as well. So we were able to rotate through all of them twice. Obviously, one a third time because it was a 7-night cruise. If I had to just quickly rank them in order, Tiana's Place far and away is my favorite, and it's not to take anything away from the others because I do love some of the interactive elements of Animator's Palette, but the decor, the menus, and the live jazz trio every night during dinner made Tiana's my favorite restaurant of the entire cruise. What about for you guys?
I love Tiana's Place, but I actually really loved Animator's Palette, and I'm not going to give spoilers in case anyone hasn't experienced it, but I preferred this Animator's Palette to the larger ships. And the first night, especially, just everyone looked around, was dabbing their eyes. And it was just really, really amazing. And the second night, too, was absolutely fun and beautiful. So I'm going to give my edge a little bit to Animator's Palette.
Yeah, Animator's Palette for me is far and away my favorite. I love Tiana's too. And I love that we had our first night at Tiana's because it was a great segue from being in New Orleans. It was awesome. But yeah, I mean, again, I guess we don't want to do spoilers, but
you can spoil a little bit.
I mean, Animator's Palette is just such an amazing, interactive, like all-encompassing Disney experience to me. I love the way that the wait staff is integrated into the dining and entertainment experience there. I love how, especially on the last night, the people who are dining there are integrated into the experience with their own art. Not to spoil it anymore, but you can go on YouTube if you're curious. But yeah, for me, it's Animator's Palette. I think the food is phenomenal at all 3 of the restaurants. So I guess it's probably more about the experience than anything else. And for me, Animator's Palette takes the cake.
Yeah, I'm 100% with Lisa. I think, and Amanda can attest to this because obviously we were at the same table. I went out of my way to ask to make sure that the experience on the last night at Animator's Palette would be the experience on the last night because on some of the shorter cruises, it is not on the smaller boats. It is by far one of my favorite things. And I think Lisa's right. Like because the menu changes every night, the food changes every night. And certainly if there's something you don't enjoy, you can get something else, but it's not so much about the food. It's about the experience you have while you're there eating that food and what's going on around you that makes it sort of the best thing. And it would absolutely have to be my favorite one if I had to pick between the 3.
Vanessa,
and I enjoyed, Triton's this time because it was our formal night and it's a more formal venue. So I felt, there's not a lot of entertainment going on, but you're all dressed up and just felt a little regal sitting there ordering your escargot or whatever you were ordering. But that, again, I think was how our rotation worked, and it was just perfect that we ended up there on formal night and not a different night where something else would have been going on.
Well,
but I do like Animator's Palette.
Right, because not only does the menu change and the theme change and there's a pirate night, but you can, and one thing I noticed on this cruise too, and Becky, I think we even commented, a lot of people really took advantage of formal night. Like there was some very, very formal dress. You don't have to. You're not going to be looked at funny if you walk in. I did not dress up formally. I was in, jeans and a shirt every day, every night for dinner. But you can if you want to. And I think that's one thing that Disney Cruise Line really affords you the opportunity to do is cruise in the way that you are most comfortable doing. You want to look, there is something I agree with about dressing for dinner that's so nice. I just didn't have occasion to do it on this one. You can dress up for pirate night if you want to. If you don't, that's cool. They give you a bandana. You can take it and do whatever you want. We had people in our group that went all out and were in full custom costumes. They had costumes made specifically for pirate night. And I think that's what the beauty of some of the rotational dining allows you to do as well.
See, and that's the beauty of cruising to begin with, is that you can do as much or as little as you want. You can participate. You can sit on the sidelines and watch everybody else. It's totally your vacation. You can make it what you'd like to, which also leans into the group experience too, because one of the reasons why I really love traveling with a group is that maybe you and your spouse, it's great to go on these more romantic cruises together, but my husband likes the things like zip lining and skydiving and these things that I'm not going to touch with a 10-foot pole, but somebody else in the group might. So you do have people that you can always have some sort of activity with and do as much or as little on these cruise experiences as you want.
Yeah. And I just want to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I absolutely loved going with the group and going into cabanas by myself. And I didn't finish many meals by myself because at some point someone there, found each other and sat and talked. And I'm sure we'll go into more of the group activities, but in a heartbeat, I would do a group cruise again.
Yeah. And I want to talk about what we did collectively as a group. But one thing I wanted to touch on, as long as we were talking about dining, and even I was going to mention when we talked about the lounge, the staff and the crew on board, I think is exceptional. And it's like a bigger version of the Jungle Cruise. Like your skipper can make or break your Jungle Cruise. Your crew can make or break your cruise. Right. I love the fact that through the rotational dining, your server and there's an assistant server follow you throughout. They get to know you very quickly on the first night, what you like to drink, what you like to eat. Usually you'll find the beverage you ordered the first night will probably be there for you on the second night. I thought the staff at the French Quarter Lounge was incredibly pleasant and helpful. Obviously, our stateroom attendants, same thing. They really sort of get to know you, and our stateroom attendant was wonderful. We spent a lot of time actually chatting one day in the hallway. Just very quickly, your crew member experience, whether it's dining rotation, stateroom attendant, anybody else that you encountered along the way, anything that was remarkable or memorable for you?
I think the consistency of the interactions throughout, like that you were consistently dealing with often the same crew member for different activities, really made the different activities very special. I mean, it's almost obvious that goes for your meal experience, because that's sort of a common experience on Disney cruises and other cruises, that your waiter and the people that are helping them out become a very big part of your cruise experience. The thing that was so unique for me, I think, about this cruise was that some of the activities that we were doing together on a regular basis, we were consistently having the same crew members. So I think we all know Dino very well.
I was going to say Dino. Yeah, here's my choice. Who we're all laughing, but he ran all of the trivia. And we got to know him very well in the way that he pronounced certain words.
Yes, yeah. Tree.
Yeah, like he just became such a big part of our cruise experience. And I think, while I had such a good time doing the trivia, I think the fact that I was consistently hearing him and anticipating what he was going to do, while he was sort of interacting with us, made trivia what it was on this cruise. And I think the same thing for bingo and the sort of antics that the cruise staff were doing up on the stage while we were, doing the bingo with the chants and the different songs, and that got us going. I think it was such a big part of what made this cruise so special.
And even small things like when we were waiting to leave the theater to go on excursions in Key West, and the cast members started telling just the corniest jokes, but
Jenny with the dad jokes. Yes.
She was hilarious. And we saw her at bingo and there and other places, and it chance to get to know them better, speak with them. And also at the bars, I frequented the bars a little bit. Deanna Cadillac Lounge was excellent. And we had the same server other times at Cadillac Lounge, and they were all just so warm and welcoming.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's one of the things that I love about Disney. People keep asking me, why you keep going back on a Disney cruise? And really it's the staff that you end up with. It's the staff that you end up meeting. I'm still friends with the very first cruise that I ever had. She wasn't part of my dining rotation, but I wandered in to have lunch at one of the sit-down restaurants one day. It happened to be on my birthday. And the assistant server came over and got chatting with me. Gave me some stuff to take back to my room, carried it back to my room with me. We've been friends on Facebook ever since. She lives in South Africa. She's invited me to visit her. Like the friendships you form, the people you meet, the conversations you have, their staff is phenomenal.
We were talking about cruising as a group, and that's one of the things I wanted to sort of save and sort of talk about on its own. Again, Vanessa, I know you've cruised with us before. Lisa's cruised with us before. Amanda and Crystal, this is the first time you cruised with us as a WDW Radio group, correct?
I believe so, because the last cruise I was on, I don't know if it was your WDW one, or if you guys were a part of way back in the day, one of those other larger groups that all sailed together with Deb and everybody else. So yeah, I think this was the first individual WDW one.
Yeah, and so Becky and I, we've been doing these cruises. Becky, God, I don't even know how many years it's been. More than a decade that we've been doing it. And it's funny because a few of you have said it, and many people said it to me as we were there on the last day, like, oh, I couldn't have. Now I was scared to cruise with quote-unquote strangers. Now I couldn't imagine not cruising with friends. And that's one of the things that we always try and do is create this balance of activities that people, again, can participate in. You choose the things that you want to do, but look, like Meets in the Month and other special events that we do, it's so wonderful for me to be able to watch these friendships and the dynamics form. And we really try and do a lot of different things to encourage that without overwhelming the itinerary, because there is so much that the cruise has to offer. I mean, even one of the things we do is we have a welcome aboard. We sort of take over Azure, and that's our welcome aboard center where you can come in, you get your credentials. There's a really cool lanyard and schedule and ID tag and all these things that you get, because it's so neat to be able to walk around the ship and see somebody who might be a stranger, but wearing that lanyard and the tag, knowing that you're part of the community and part of the family. And I think that helps to start conversations and create friendships as well. And I see a lot of you guys are nodding your heads in agreement.
Yeah. The number of times I got in the elevator and some person who I had never met had a lanyard on that said WDW, and we just got chatting and both ended up somewhere we hadn't planned on being because we got too busy chatting. Like that, the size of the group, I think, was fantastic. You had the ability to almost meet everybody who came to the events, to get to know people. It was, absolutely fabulous.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I love being on the smaller ships with the group, because we're such a large percentage, the overall population of the cruise. And one of the other things that was really cool about this cruise was that you guys had that card.
Oh, I loved the card.
Yeah, that was nice.
Logo on it. And then on the back had all the activities, which was great for reference, but also it was really great, like for conversation. A lot of times I'd get in the elevator and somebody who wasn't with us would see that and be like, oh, how do I get one of those?
I know. I had like 20 extras. I could have sold those and been
It just made for a great conversation. It was a really great way to kind of spread the love and maybe get people interested in cruising with us who were not privy to radio before that.
And one thing I liked about going with the group is because this was my third time, there were a lot of repeat members from other cruises. So I got to, maybe do the 5K with some of them, or, sit and chat somewhere and visit versus just talking on Facebook or Messenger with each other. We were reconnected through the group and cruising together. And I formed a lot of nice friendships that way and have, further met other people through them. I probably knew half of the group before we even sailed. So that's what I love about this whole community. It just brought us right back together and doing something we love, cruising with Disney and Lou and Becky and everybody. So definitely the groups are a great experience.
And I only knew a few people, but great job on the dining selection, because shout out to Table 20.
Table 20.
we had a wonderful experience. The first night I sat down, I just knew in talking with everyone that it was going to be just so much fun. And we ended up just hanging out together any chance that we had.
A lot.
Our table did that. Yeah.
Awesome. And meeting just so many other people from all over that now I want to cruise with all of them again.
Well, we try and even we try and create that community feel even before the cruise started, right? So we have the Facebook group and getting people to talk and ask questions. I know, and I'm not singling you out, but I know, Vanessa, you posted a lot in the group, helpful hints and tips and blog posts that you have written over the years, which I know great. A lot of people appreciate, especially who had never cruised before, because it allayed some of those fears and answered a lot of those questions that people had sort of individually or even sort of collective things that people might not have thought about ahead of time and probably wouldn't have found had you not posted them in the group.
Yeah. Well, they were fun. They were more fun than packing at a certain point. Like, I better get busy. It's like Tuesday and I leave tomorrow. Yeah. But I have many more tips for anything we ever do again. That I just love helping people get acquainted with the ships and know what to do. And, even just going right down to like room service or calling them and having stuff. A lot of people didn't know you could do that. So just little helpful things was fun to think of for everybody.
Yeah, if you don't order, as a quick aside, if you don't order room service, you're doing it wrong, because the chicken wings and the mac and cheese are the stuff of legends.
And the cookies.
One of my son's favorite things to do is just order mac and cheese from room service. But Becky, we do a number of other activities and events. So we also have a fish extender exchange, which is optional, where Mouse Fan Travel provides what's called a fish extender. And if you've never cruised before, on the outside of your stateroom door is this metal fish, which actually operates like a little spring, because sometimes Disney will post little notes or letters or reminders there. But what we have done, and what a lot of people do, is you can hang everything from a bag to, one of those sort of hanging like toiletry things, and you can put in little gifts. So we create this fish extender exchange where you can sign up for optionally, and then you're supposed to only once, some people did it every day, put in a little gift for people on your list. Again, I love participating in this, one, because I love seeing the gifts that you exchange with each other, and I'm fascinated by just how smart and fun and creative so many of you guys get with the gifts that you give, and some really interesting ones that we get as well. Did you all do fish extender exchange?
Yes.
Yep.
So did you do one gift? You did one gift for everybody, or did you do multiple gifts throughout? You're supposed to only do one, but again, one of the most fun things to do is come back to your room after being out on deck or after dinner or being out late at night, and the first thing you do is run over, and you don't even go right to your door. You go right to your fish extender bag.
And then throw it on the bed to see what it is.
That's right.
It's like a Christmas stocking. It's that excitement of, oh my gosh, there's something in the bag. And then you got to open it up and check it out. It gets really cool.
Well, and we had a lot of Mardi Gras themed items in ours, which was fun, being that it was part of the Tiana whole thing and sailing out of New Orleans.
Yeah, I think the cruise kind of segued from Mardi Gras to Valentine's Day, and it was people work that theming into the fish extenders. I know, for the kids, it's super fun for them to see what we come back to each day. And so many of you guys were so creative and thoughtful with the things that were in the bags. I know it was a lot of fun for us and for my boys as well.
I always felt bad because I would see somebody like at dinner, and they would go, "Oh, did you enjoy the Spider-Man bag?" And I'm like, "Yes, but I didn't know it was from you because my son grabs them and takes them and throws them on the bed and separates the gift from the tag, so I don't know who gave what, but thank you."
That's half the fun. Like, even when you're not a kid, like, I have always done fish extenders because I'm lucky I have a mother who knew about all of these things before I started sailing. And so I've always done it on my Disney cruises. And you leave the room for even 5 or 10 minutes and you come back and there's something else there waiting for you. And you're like, oh my God, what is it? Oh my God. It's like Christmas, like 1,600 times a day.
Yep.
We also did an optional door decorating contest, which is always fun. It makes me, it's also a little hurtful because it makes me realize just how non-creative I really am. Some of the doors have magnets and photo galleries and lights and like interactive kind of stuff going on. You know, if I put a magnet on, that's the extent of the door decorating contest. And this year's winner, again, repeat cruisers who have done it before. The Brook Rovers came.
And they knew how to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bribery works. And then literally, so
now we all know for next time.
It's not why they won. To be clear, it was the lights and it was the New Orleans theming. But the day that the door decorating contest judging was going, Becky is texting me frantically, like, you need to come and see this door. I'm like, I've seen it already. She was like, no, you need to come see it right now because hanging on the door were 2 envelopes that said bribes for Becky, bribes for Lou. So, and they were custom magnets. They were New Orleans, like, Rue de Mangello, Rue de Mankin custom magnets that they had made.
It was very cool. It was very sweet of them to do. But like you said, their door was covered with memories. So they had pictures of themselves on the cruises with us and pictures of us with them on the cruises. And it really, a lot of the New Orleans Mardi Gras theming as well. So it was so well done. You know that they put a lot of thought into it. And projecting their personalities and who they were on the door. And I love not only the ones that participate in the contest, but if you're just walking up and down the hallways, many people get into decorating their doors without even entering a contest, just because that's part of the fun of being on a Disney cruise.
Yeah, it really allows your personality to shine. And I will tell you, judging the door decorating contest on the smaller ships is so much better.
So much easier.
You realize how big the dream and the fantasy are. Years ago, back in 2012, we had close to 500 people on board and a lot of people in the door. We also remember we did like the flag contest at door. You realize just how big the ships are when you do that. But we also did one morning. We had a sort of a game morning. I've done everything from Pictionary to trivia contest. This year I did something different, which was a movie quotes game, which I thought was a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys did. Fortunately, I didn't have to do many impressions as I was doing, other than my King Candy impression.
Or the cat, whatever that really was.
I wrote like 130 movie quotes just in case, but people were getting knocked out very, very quickly. Granted, it was also 8 o'clock in the morning, so I understand. Not everybody was fully caffeinated as well. We did a coffee talk one morning at the French Quarter Lounge, which is a lot of fun. Great way to chat with people and do a little informal surveying about
which also added my to-do list. 40
Becky's
more
like,
bullets to Becky's to-do list.
To do.
That was great, and I really appreciated everybody sharing their thoughts and their ideas, because it really did help us to target the things that might be next, and that feedback is so important. And it was great too, just listening to everybody's thoughts on what you wanted to do and what you were interested in doing, and seeing the excitement of the things that are coming. I loved that day.
I like seeing Becky's face as I start to talk about things that she does not want me to mention. Like literally before we started recording, what did Becky do? Lou, you cannot talk about this thing.
Well, yes.
But we also do informal things like ice cream socials on board ship as well as on Castaway Key. One of the things that we started doing a couple of years ago, which I think was just so much fun. I don't remember, Becky, if it started because we did like Christmas in July, but let's just do, we did like a secret Santa, not a secret, like a white elephant gift exchange one morning, which was a lot of fun. Again, it was completely optional. People, again, got super creative, a little competitive sometimes.
Just slightly competitive.
But again, it's one of those things that I love watching, just the dynamic of the room and the interactions of the people. It's all in fun, and it's, everybody has a great time, and sometimes you pull a good gift too.
Yeah, we had like numbers from 1 to 50 or something. And, you get to like 30 and we're still being the nice, happy family around the Christmas Day dinner.
Yeah.
Nobody's stealing from anybody. It's starting to get a little awkward. I want to create some sort of tension somewhere so that someone will steal something. And it was Sammy who stood up and went and stole something. And then it was a steal fest. And I ended up losing my Baby Yoda socks, which made me incredibly sad. but it was so much fun. Again, the creativity of the gifts. It does not cost a lot of money. Just something little under, I think what we had under $20 or something was our set. And just watching everybody eye everybody else's stuff once they realized it was okay to do it.
And the 2 steal rule was in effect, thankfully, because we would have been there all night.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The ornaments, that 2 of them showed up. And so the whole stealing it was stolen twice so that they couldn't steal it again. So that they stole it from somebody else. And it was that was hilarious the way that worked out. I can't wait to do that again. Seriously.
Yeah, that's gonna we're just gonna do that for every event, just because that's a lot of it's.
But not at 8 o'clock in the morning. That was really early.
Again, having access to events to venues is sometimes is sometimes
we take what we can get. We take what we can get.
We also might as well just mention in terms of group events, we also had a wonderful farewell party. Again, thanks to the generosity of Mouse Fan Travel. And we had a special guest as well. It was
Royalty.
in Tiana's, and Tiana showed up.
Yay.
And I couldn't stop hugging her because she was so nice.
Yeah, that was a little awkward, Lou. You wouldn't let go of her there for a while.
Listen, it's not the first time I've been tased on a ship, so it shouldn't.
But she was so sweet, and I handed her the microphone, and she was, I just loved her and how she just embraced the group and, tried to step away from you slowly. And it was
or quickly.
It was
fine.
It was a wonderful visit. It was great, having that opportunity to say farewell, because after spending 6 glorious days together at that point, it was kind of a hard thing to do, but at least you have a way, especially going right back around in Tiana's place again. So where we started is where we ended, and having that little bit more of the New Orleans flair to say goodbye was perfect.
And did you all bring your roses home?
Yes, I did. Yep.
See, romance is not. I figured the next day was Valentine's Day. I was like, how could we not give all of the ladies and a few gentlemen roses? I wouldn't say that they're silk roses. They're more like plastic, but the intent was there, and you didn't have to worry about
thorns. Yeah.
So I love having. And do you guys find that it was a nice balance of different activities, things you can choose to do, things you could not choose to do as much, participate as much or as little as you'd like?
Yeah, and we didn't talk about the takeover of the kids club.
I was just getting to the pajama party.
Okay, sorry, it was so much fun.
Yeah,
Adults
what has
walking around
really
in
sort of
pajamas.
become a signature event, and Becky, I don't know how many years we've been doing this now, is we've always been somewhat frustrated in a fun, happy way that you can go and visit the kids clubs during open house times where you can go and see exactly what goes on in there. And over the years, the kids clubs have grown and evolved, and now they include like Andy's, depending on what ship you're on. There's Andy's room and a huge slide and Pixie Hollow and Wandering Oaken's Outpost, woohoo, and Marvel-themed areas. I'm like, this is not cool, man. Like, why can't we be in it? And again, thanks to Becky Mankin from Emmy Off Message, we're like, well, what about if we just take over the kids clubs at midnight? So now we have a pajama party, because you can't go if you're going to be a kid, you got to go all in. So we have a combination pajama party and kids club takeover. And I will tell you, there is nothing better for me on the cruise than to watch adults, and I put that in air quotes, walking around the ship on the way to the adult area in their pajamas, like footy pajamas, onesies. There's this year's a lot of slippers. This year's theme was anything that's on Disney Plus. So we sort of left it pretty wide open. Again, some people went so there we are sitting in Crown and Finn. The poor people that are not part of the group are going, did we miss the memo? Was there something? because there's Avengers, Monsters Inc., Disney characters, all of us sitting in there. And then we go over to the Oceaneers Club and Lab, and the kids club activity counselors are there and get to do things with us. The things they do with kids, they get to do with us. And again, it's so fun to watch because some people go right in, like Amanda, Lisa, I'm looking at you doing the Dance Dance Revolution thing. One of you was Sully. The other one was wearing Toy Story stretchy pants. And then some people are a little bit more reserved, a little bit more laid back. But then 15 minutes in, they're up playing, some of the different games. They're doing the interactive Marvel stuff. They're going down the Slinky Dog slide. In their pajamas at 12:30 at night, doing crafts. Yeah,
I loved watching Andrew and Vanessa though play that game, the Marvel thing. You guys,
I don't know what happened to mine.
Your character was contorted in ways I never thought was possible. But it was so much fun watching everybody just go from station to station to station, having a great time. And in that Marvel area where they had the decoder puzzle, there's adults that were trying. I mean, these are for 10-year-olds. They were attempting to decode this thing. And I would see people just throw their hands up in frustration and go dance,
it was hard.
Dance. Yes. Or the crafts table. They have all the stuff out in the crafts table so that everybody can make their own capes. So there's a lot of fun activities that if you just allow yourself to be a 10-year-old again, there was no shortage of activities to live out that dream.
And you couldn't do it. That's not something you can do any other time. Other than being part of the group. And I think that's what the group does. It not only gives you access to the venue, but your inhibitions and your maturity to a certain degree is left at the door, right? And everybody becomes a kid again. And I know, Becky, you and I sometimes stand off to the side and just love to watch the interactions and the reactions of people that kind of forget, that they're adults playing in this kid space.
Yeah. And that first activity, I always tell the counselors when I go up and meet with them beforehand, and I say, we're just like any other tribe of kids that are coming in. You do whatever you would normally do when it's kids. And they said, we are so prepared for you. You have no idea. So when we go in there, and the first thing they have is that activity to make everybody do the Simon Says thing, which I was so amazed watching everybody spinning in circles and grabbing paper cups. And it was such a great icebreaker to get everybody to be comfortable in their surroundings and just be a kid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
those counselors were wonderful, and that time went so fast. It felt like we were barely in there a few minutes. It just went by so quickly, but it was so much fun. I just wish I had something on a little cooler, and now I need to figure out where to wear my Sully onesie.
Yeah, flannel in the kids clubs, and when they make you do Simon Says, probably isn't the best combination.
But I always look forward to that. It's so fun.
It is. It's a ton of fun. Can you just imagine what it was like the very first time we did it? I had to go into a meeting and say, yeah, we want to have an adult pajama party and then go in the kids club. What do you say? And just the look on their faces was amazing. But now every year they're ready for us. They keep dreaming up new things to do. And it like Lou said, it definitely is a signature, and we will continue to do it.
And I love watching the counselors. The counselors totally get into it because there's a couple of times they can take these things. And again, when I say make them more adult or mature, I don't mean in a blue or dirty kind of way, but they have so much. Remember a few years ago when we made Flubber one night? So there's all these adults on these teeny tiny little Lou Mangello sized chairs making Flubber at 1 o'clock in the morning in the kids club. And then we left and we found Belle or something wandering around, and there we are in the atrium in our pajamas. Wow. It's for those of you who haven't done it before. It might sound weird. I promise you, it is some of the most fun. It is weird.
It's weird. It's fun.
Well, that's the thing. It's absolute fun. Becky has a wonderful video of me standing looking like probably a complete idiot.
Oh, yeah.
But I had wanted to try the virtual reality Iron Man helmet, and it wasn't working. And so because I couldn't get it to work, one of the counselors came over and she was like, no, I'm going to get it to work. This is something you have to try. And just her enthusiasm about it, no matter how silly I looked, no matter how odd it probably looked from the outside, it was fun. It was fun to try. It was fun to do. It was fun to experience. And like you said, Lou, like if I had just gone on a cruise, I never would have had that. So being a part of the group, being able to do it with people who you know are friends with you and they're having just as much fun, looking just as silly, it makes it a wonderful evening.
Mm-hmm.
And to see, and look, we had Princess Tiana paid us a visit at the farewell party. Spider-Man came to, I think it was it last
Alaska.
year? Was it Alaska?
Yeah.
Spider-Man, I mean, obviously, little Lou Mangel. Those are some of the things that I love watching. And myself, we go and we take pictures with these characters like we're 5 years old again, whether we have kids or not with us. I actually think I pushed my son out of the way to get a picture before he did.
Probably did.
So what's interesting, and I really didn't intend it to be this way, but we've been talking for quite some time, and we've talked about the ship. We've talked about a very small number of the onboard activities. We almost sort of glossed over dining and didn't even talk about some of the food. And
wait, I have 2 words for you. Strawberry soup. I know that it's been on the ship forever, but when you read it on the menu and it used to be there, strawberry soup just didn't sound good at all. It was at the Palo brunch, and I got to experience this little slice of heaven called strawberry soup, and I think I had 7 of them. These teeny little martini glasses, but man, that was so amazingly good. That was my dining nirvana for the entire 7 days was strawberry soup. Go figure.
Yeah. Again, we didn't even touch on Palo brunch, which is literally worth the price of admission. I mean, it's worth 100%. The price of going on one of the cruises. What we haven't talked about, and I'm only, again, we could do an entire second show about some of these things. One thing we haven't talked about are the ports, right? People talk about, well, where's the ship going? And my answer by default is always, I don't care. Like I'm not joking, like, because the ports are almost secondary sometimes to the cruise itself. Not just because, I've been to Nassau. I don't really get off in Nassau anymore. I love Castaway Cay and I love Key West, but there's so much to do on board. That has always been the reason and the focus why I go. Sometimes the ports are secondary, if not tertiary, to the reasons why we will choose a cruise. We chose this cruise because it was inaugural out of New Orleans. It was on the Wonder, all those different things and then I'm like, oh, by the way, it also goes here, here, and here, right? And as Becky and I talk about future cruises, sometimes that's it too. It's where's it leaving from? What ship is it on? What do we want to do? And then, here's some of the ports that it goes to as well. Just as a quick, very informal survey, how much, if any, did the port destinations play into your decision to go on this particular cruise? Anybody? Amanda?
Ours.
Yeah, it did some. I'd never been to Key West, so I really wanted to go there. And I love my little slice of heaven, Castaway Cay. I can't get enough of it. And as you mentioned earlier, this itinerary was fantastic because normally out of Port Canaveral, Castaway is the last stop, and then you have to pack that night. And it's so depressing. And this, we had 2 sea days after Castaway, and it was so nice to just be able to get back on the ship and relax and not have to pack for 2 more days. And it was fantastic.
Vanessa?
Yeah, so I loved the order of the days, but like I alluded to when we first started talking and I mentioned like the nature of our Alaska cruise versus the nature of this cruise, I think the draw of this one was almost that, it being in the Bahamas, like I wasn't even pressed to get off the ship when we were in Nassau and we didn't. So the fact that it was sort of a more chill itinerary, we didn't feel the need to book a bunch of excursions. Like in Key West, we just kind of got off the ship and walked around and relaxed and enjoyed ourselves. The next day in Nassau, we didn't even get off the ship at all. Because I've seen Nassau and it's lovely, but I'm on the Disney cruise to enjoy the Disney ship. So I didn't feel guilty about doing that. And then obviously Castaway is Castaway. So I just for me, it wasn't so much like, oh my God, I get to go see blank, so much as like, it was just a very chill cruise overall and just sort of all meshed with like the chill vibe of being able to relax on the ship.
Vanessa?
I chose it more because it was going out of New Orleans, but I also like Key West because I feel like Disney Cruise doesn't go there a whole lot because I think only the smaller ships tend to go. And I do enjoy walking around Key West. I got my Kinos, which are custom shoes that are made on Key West. They're little sandals. They're really cute. And our key lime pie on a stick. We had certain things we like to do, but I, again, did, like Lisa, I did not do any port adventures. We did not get off at Nassau, and just really enjoyed Castaway Cay. I mean, it's just such a relaxing place to spend the day. And I was amazed at how far out the tide went on Serenity Bay. I guess it was a full moon, and you could walk, like, I'm not kidding, over a quarter mile out and look at the shells and stingrays and starfish. I mean, it was just amazing what was happening that day. But yeah, I did enjoy the itinerary. It was, especially ending with the 2 sea days, was perfect.
Yeah,
I
think
I agree. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Lou. The itinerary, I think, was a huge selling point. Look, sea days are my favorite things on the boats. One, because there's lots of activities going on. So if you feel like doing stuff that day, there's always something to do. But you also have the opportunity to literally do nothing if you want. And so the more sea days there is, the bigger a selling point it is for me. Of course, the fact that it left out of New Orleans was a big selling point. And I had never been to Key West. So Amanda and I did a small trolley tour in the morning just to get to know the area. Then we wandered around a little bit in the afternoon, had lunch, checked out a few things. So it was great that I had never been there. Like Lisa and everybody else who didn't get off the boat in Nassau, I've been there half a dozen times, didn't need to. So that essentially became another sea day. And I think that's a huge selling point for me personally. So yeah, the itinerary was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think New Orleans was the attractor, and then the secondary element was the ports, because like you, Key West was someplace I haven't been to in a long time. I had visited there as a kid with my parents. My kids had actually gone with my parents as their one and only, grandkids trip. So for me and my son, we had reasons that we wanted to go from just a very personal, sentimental point of view. And I love the fact that it ported there and didn't do any formal excursions. We just went out and we went to the Hemingway house. We have 2 Hemingway cats, and my son my son loves cats, so we went to the Hemingway house and just had my son I could have just left them there petting cats all day, and he would have been perfectly happy. And then ate at a restaurant that I ate at 35 years ago with my parents, and for some strange reason, we literally sat in the same booth that I have a picture. I'm going to start crying. We sat in the same booth that we sat at 35 years ago. So, and again, it's a very, very walkable city. The only thing I wish, and this is no one's fault, I only wish we had more time in Key West. We leave relatively early. I think we had to be back on board the ship at like 3:45 or so.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I would love to be there overnight. I mean, in a perfect world, because it was such a great port. And certainly Castaway Cay is always my favorite of all the ports.
And I love Castaway Cay with the smaller ships.
Yes.
I will say,
yes.
It's so much easier to find a chair. It's not as crowded. The lines aren't as long. It's really cool to be there in one of the smaller ships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I definitely felt that difference. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to point out, this was my first time using that outer mole at Key West. It's off the naval base, and you had to be shuttled in, or usually are at Malware, and can just get on and off the ship as much as you want, or take the kids back to the kids club if you want to go do something. But I found the experience not that hard. It took a little extra time out of your day at Key West, but anybody who sees that on their itinerary and you're going out of the naval pier, it's not that difficult. You just got to, wait your turn and get on the trolleys and go. But that was something new for us to experience.
I kind of liked it. I kind of liked that because you literally step off the ship and the trolley is right there. I mean, you're walking maybe 10 feet, and it gave you almost a little bit of a mini trolley tour, a little tram tour of Key West without having to go and do a separate tour. So my son and I were able to sort of look around at things, and then you're sort of left, you're dropped right off in the center of Key West, and we're able to walk everywhere that we needed to go, and then very, very easy to get back on board the ship. It's a shorter walk to get off on Key West than it is on Castaway Key to get to the tram. So, but yeah, Key West is my favorite, and Cookies 2 barbecue, like, right? Like,
right?
I
Ribs
love it.
for lunch? Come on.
I love it. And if you don't have the ribs and the spicy chicken sandwich and a hot dog and banana ice cream and the cornbread, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it very, very wrong.
I'm regretting everything I didn't eat. I mean, I ate everything. I wish like I had access right now. I'm starving.
Right?
But you
Just
realize the human body,
pineapple.
there is a finite amount of food that you can stuff into your body on any given day. We try and really stretch the limits of our stomachs and our pants when you're on board the ship.
Yeah, but man, dude, you were eyeing the leftover pizza from the brunch. Like there was no tomorrow. Like
now I want that.
Right?
Maybe I can put that in a bag or something, and they won't notice, and I can eat it in my stateroom.
Says the woman who had 7 strawberry soups.
I know.
I'm like, how next time? Not that I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring a Ziploc bag, and I'm going to sneak pieces of Pecorino Romano cheese into my Ziploc bag and bring it. You can't take it off the ship, but I'm going to bring it back
all day. Yep.
That's right.
Yeah. But right, that flatbread pizza with the goat cheese and the grapes and the spicy sausage and
the grapes. Yeah,
the grape and gorgonzola. Oh, I dream about that thing.
I feel like all we did was eat. All we did was eat, because there's no shortage of food. Like throughout the day, throughout the night, 24-hour room service, late night. On Pirate Night, you can go to we didn't even talk about Pirate
buffet,
Night.
Yeah.
Very quick aside, I think Pirate Night. When I went out for the fireworks, I've seen it so many times. I was just going out to see it again, but from the last time I've seen it, the music was completely different. It was like hipper, cool, like rock, older music. Like I loved Pirate Night, and I regret not getting out there a little bit earlier. Did you guys all see it?
Yeah, Pirate Night was awesome. And it definitely, well, it's been a few years since I cruised, but it's definitely different from the last time that I cruised. And the fact that they had to buy a little bit of extra time because we weren't where we needed to be yet, I think made it even better, because you got to see the cast interact with the kids a little bit more and sort of stretch out the dance party, which I thought was super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that and I don't know when the change happened in Animator's palette for the show. But they took out the part that I usually have to leave for, which is the whole Lion King daddy thing. I can't handle it. So I need to go to the bathroom right now. That's when I usually head for the door. But this one, I noticed that it had been updated, and there was Tangled was in there, and there was other elements to it that the show was different. And I really kind of enjoyed this one because it didn't have that big, huge downer that brought you back up. So I liked it better, and I actually stayed to watch. Yay.
Yeah. And I'm glad they refresh things, especially being a repeat cruiser. You get like, oh yeah, I've seen that, or so it is nice. Even Dreams, I heard they changed it a little bit. I didn't go to that show, but
they did.
They're always kind of updating things. It's nice.
So again, as we're trying to I completely forgot to talk about some of the nighttime entertainment. There are shows in the Walt Disney Theater every single night. There's always the Golden Mickey show, depending on the ship. So this ship finishes off with Disney Dreams, which is a phenomenal show. I've seen it a number of times. I didn't go, but there's also a number of different variety acts, which I now regret not seeing all of them. I don't remember a time where people came out of a show and was like, oh my God, this ventriloquist was amazing. These magicians, I cannot believe. So did you, for those of you who saw, I heard the ventriloquist act and the magicians were outstanding.
Yes. And we actually went and saw them again at the adult section, which was a totally different show and really fun.
That ventriloquist wowed us so much. We were laughing so hard, and then we had people up on stage you had to be there in a way, but like when he had a bunch of people up on stage, and he would have them kind of move the ventriloquist mouths, and then he would fill in the words like kind of impromptu as the mouths were moving. And we and like the people that we were with from the group were just like rolling. And I think it's a testament to how good he was that the adults, there was nothing improper about it. It just happened to be an adult show later in the evening that he did. Like it was standing room only because so many people had seen or heard about his first show that everybody just flocked to the later show that he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amanda and I didn't go to the show the first night, but we had heard from a number of people just how good it was on the first night. So, and that, like you said, Lou, isn't something that you typically end up with when it's those sort of variety acts, which is why I tend to skip them. So I am a little disappointed that I skipped it on the first night because everybody seemed to absolutely love that.
You know, it's just, there's this interesting like dichotomy because there's so much to do that you can't do it all.
Yeah.
We keep saying we have to go back and do it again. There's so much to eat. All we do is eat all day, and we're going, I'm so hungry, I need to go back again. That seems to be like there's something, I don't want to use the word addicting or addictive, but about these cruises that, you know, it's easy to get hooked on cruising on Disney Cruise Line because of all these things. And it doesn't matter if you do the same ship, the same itinerary, it's going to be different every single time you do it. This is where Becky gets nervous because she knows I'm thinking about talking about what's coming.
Hey,
there's just always something, I think, for everyone. And I don't have small children. So people, I think, in part ask me why I keep doing Disney because I don't have small children. But it's great because on the days that I want to get up and watch the sunrise, I can get up and watch the sunrise on the boat. And on the days when I want to sleep in, I can sleep in. If I feel like having a nap, I can have a nap. If I want to play trivia with everybody, I can go play trivia. There's a movie going on. There's always something. And if you'd rather just sit in a lounge chair, you can just sit in a lounge chair. No matter how you like to vacation, it works for you.
Yeah, we still hear a lot of people do the pushback of there's nothing to do on a cruise. And as we all know, there's almost too much to do on a cruise because sometimes you have to make choices and that's hard. Yeah. Or you're trying to eat dinner and you're like, oh my gosh, I need dessert really fast and I need it in 45 seconds because I need to be at trivia at 8:15 and it's now 8:00. So
let's not even talk about bingo.
Oh no, let's go ahead and talk about bingo.
We were like a bunch of old ladies like rushing to bingo and like grabbing our cards and screaming and yelling.
Are you kidding? You were sending your son 30 minutes before to make sure to grab seats so that you can have the perfect table.
No, it was all Nicholas. It was all Nicholas. Like the kid was like addicted to bingo. And it was just, you know, you play to win, but they make it so much. It's not about the gamble part of it. There was so much fun, and I love the fact that it's something that kids and families and can do together as well.
People
and that
really take this stuff seriously.
Well, when you're playing for possibly $10,000, yes,
or
you take it seriously.
or even $295. I saw some people kind of going at it for $295. So it's all in the thrill of the game, I can tell. But it really is a lively environment is probably a good way to put it lightly.
11.
You will never hear B11 without singing that song in your head ever again, right?
True.
So one of the most awkward things, though, is when that one person stands for the first time and everyone's screaming at them to sit down because, of course, the person running the game is telling them to scream at him or her to sit down.
Because if you're one number away, you stand up to let people know. The best was when the woman didn't stand up and Lisa got so mad because she couldn't mentally prepare for losing the game.
Yeah, I guess you kind of need that. It's like, oh no, I'm probably going to lose. So you have that preparation.
She's like, I wasn't emotionally prepared.
You could just yell bingo if you weren't standing up.
How about that one idiot that yelled Yahtzee when he won bingo?
Yeah, I have a video of that idiot too yelling Yahtzee, which is perfect.
I got excited. Sorry. But and look, again, we've been talking, for so long about it, and as I'm thinking back and looking at the itinerary, I'm like, oh, we forgot about this and we forgot about that because there was so much that we did, and there was so much fun that we had, from moments that I had by myself to being able to do this with my son was phenomenal, to being to do this as a group and spending time with people collectively as a whole WDW Radio family, to meeting people and spending time with them individually. For me, it was such an incredible, rewarding experience. But I would love for each of you to sort of go around the virtual table, as it were, and share either a tip that you would have for somebody, a personal memory, a bit of advice, anything that you feel that you want to share about this cruise, cruising in general, cruising as a group, whatever it might be. Crystal, go first.
I think the biggest tip or suggestion that I would have for people is, if you've been holding off on taking a Disney cruise because you're one of those people that thinks, well, I don't really enjoy Disney all that much. I'm not a huge Disney person. I don't know half of the trivia that the rest of you know. I don't know who the artists are. I enjoy Disney, but not to the same level as other people. But the Disney cruise by far is the best experience I've had so far, in part because Disney just knows how to do customer service. And because, as we were just discussing, there's something for everyone. If you're someone who literally just wants to sit in a lounge chair at the pool all day, every day, you have the ability to do that. You have the ability to watch sunrise and sunset. You have the ability to make new friends that are sitting at your dinner table with you. There's all kinds of opportunities, and it sort of fits everyone. So just pull the trigger and give it a whirl.
Lisa?
So, I think my main piece of advice about cruising Disney is very similar to my main piece of advice about planning a trip to Walt Disney World. And it's just to allow yourself to be in the moment and don't feel the need to do all of the things. Just sort of honor what you want in that moment. Some of my most wonderful memories of this cruise, range from, playing bingo and doing trivia with all of you to going to the rainforest room alone first thing in the morning, to, being, on the, cruise looking out, at the water late at night, to dancing with Amanda, at the kids party. And, if you're like looking at that itinerary and freaking out over, all of the different things that you're going to miss or that you want to do or that you want to pack into a day, you're probably going to ruin, what could be a very relaxing and wonderful experience. And if you're stressing that, you're not somebody who likes to dress up, or that you're the kind of person who likes to dress up over the top, like, you're going to, no matter what you choose to do and how much you choose to deck yourself out for pirate night or not acknowledge that it exists at all, or, skip the big, show to go to trivia, or you're going to be in company, like, no matter what you do. So just do you in the moment, do what you want to be doing in the moment, and just sort of honor your cruise experience. And you're going to have the best time if you do it like that.
Vanessa?
Kind of going off of what Lisa said. Can you hear me? I had to switch microphones real quick. I think there's no way, it's even like when you go to Walt Disney World, that you can do everything that's on board in even 7 days or 14 days or whatever it is. So, just relax and have fun. I know leading up to it, I was in a couple Facebook groups and people were getting all anxious about things. Just cruising is what you make it. If you're running here, there, everywhere, you're not relaxing and having an enjoyable time. Pick what looks best to you. I feel it was different cruising with my son and husband versus when I have my other two daughters with us. I just like trying different things, and this is when you can do it, is, go to a tasting or even do the walking tours on the ship. I like just picking something that I haven't done before and trying it on each cruise to add to my collection of, I need to do that again or not. But definitely cruising with Disney is the best. I grew up cruising, been on like all the different ships, probably like Becky. But I just think overall Disney does it right, and you can't go wrong with no matter what you choose to do each day.
I have a tip and a memory tip. I think one of my favorite things to do is to get up and watch the sunrise and just take that in individually, and also to see the ship when it's empty in the morning. It's just that nice peaceful time, kind of when you get that chance to go to the park really early, everything's still quiet, just to take all of that in. And then my memory / tip would be, as Lisa and others were saying, to be open to the experience, especially in a group. I was at Cabanas by myself. It was 12 o'clock. I was trying to hurry up and eat lunch and go to a 12:15 event. And then here came Kelly and Becky from my table. Oh, can we sit with you? And next thing I knew, I looked at my watch and it was 1 o'clock, and I wouldn't have changed that for anything. We just had a fabulous time just sitting there talking, eating more lunch. It was awesome. And that's what made this cruise for me.
Becky Mankin.
There's so many things running through my mind right now. My favorite memories are probably just, again, watching everybody turn into 8-year-olds in the kids club. I love that. I love just kind of standing against the wall and watching everybody have an amazing time and leaving all their inhibitions and just having fun, just the pure joy of it. The tip for me is, I'm going to come right back around to, if you've ever wanted to cruise and just haven't before, if you don't know what the experience is going to be, if you're a little nervous about it, totally understandable, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about cruise experiences, and the media tends to take things and run with it in different directions and kind of overplays things. But if you are looking to have this experience, do it with a group. That's probably my biggest tip. If you're listening to WDW Radio, immediately, if you join one of our cruise groups or our Adventure by Disney groups or our groups that are at World or Land or any of the activities we do, you're immediately going to walk in and you're going to be with Ohana. We all have this love for this brand in common, so you immediately have something in common with everybody in the group. You already know some of the backstories and some of the craziness that comes around this community. So we welcome you with open arms, and you can come in. If you don't know what to do on a cruise, we can help you. Like Vanessa posting information in the private group that we have before you go. We do the same thing. Everybody's bouncing ideas off each other. So if you have questions, you've got a whole bunch of people to lean on to get prepared for it. I just highly encourage you, if you have ever wanted to do this, a group cruise is the best way to do it.
Yeah, you all have embodied and embraced exactly what I feel about doing this as a group, doing this as a family. And I certainly understand any hesitation or trepidation, fear of why I don't want to cruise with strangers. You know that you have something in common by virtue of the fact that you're listening, because that makes you part of the community. And I think you all are a testament to the fact that you may walk in there literally by yourself, but you are not going to walk out the same way. You guys have created such a wonderful family that you come together so easily, so seamlessly. And Becky, you know, look, I said the very first time we did a cruise, it was over. I said, God, we just caught lightning in a bottle. Like, that'll never happen again. Like, it was drama free and everybody had such a good time. Like, we can't do another cruise. It's all downhill from there. And I've been amazed, knock on wood, like time after time.
10 years later.
Yeah. And, you know, as again, more people come on that already know each other. And again, these friendships and incredible relationships that form. I know people say we leave the cruise and we go back and we get together with people that we met on board, and we are vacationing together. And now, you know, they come and they do Adventures by Disney together, you know, and they'll do, you know, other things that we'll do even outside of the cruises. And to that end, I'm incredibly grateful and humbled that you choose to spend and share your time with your family, with me and my extended family. It certainly couldn't happen without Becky and everything that goes on behind the scenes. We joke around a lot, but I understand there's a lot of work that goes into this as well. From a personal perspective, being able to do this and spend it with you and share it with you it means more to me than I can probably articulate now, because all I'm thinking about is Palo Brunch. But I am grateful, and I love doing these things. And as sad as I am when one is over, I know we're already looking at what is coming next. And to sort of pull a line from Wreck-It Ralph, like, people were asking me by day 3, by day 4, the cruise is still going on. They're like, when can we do this again? Like, just tell us, Mangello, like, we're ready to do this. So This is where
Can
Becky
you feel
gets
my
nervous.
heartbeat? Yeah, my heartbeat is like pounding
Deep
right
breaths,
now.
Becky, deep breaths.
I know. Mute. I wish I had a mute on him.
So I'm going to contradict something that I said earlier, which is, and I still believe this, that the ships are the stars. And I do believe that. And I think maybe Alaska is the exception to that rule. Alaska is the star. It is the destination. And I was looking at the cruise brochure. I mean, there's dozens and dozens of destinations domestically, Canada, Europe, Hawaii, transatlantic cruises. I mean, there's something for every time of year, every destination, every budget.
Overnight at Bermuda. Ooh.
Yeah, we're getting there, kid. But we were thinking about what's next. And I will tell you that, and again, I'm going to take Alaska out because we've done Alaska twice. I promise you we're going to do it again, which is news to Becky. But I love that itinerary so much. I love that experience so very much. But we did. We've been talking about what's next, and we know that, you know, when the Wish comes out, we're definitely going to do a group cruise on board whenever that might be. But that's way too long to wait. And other than Alaska, the favorite cruise that I have ever done, I'm going to cry again because I was able to do and share this with my son, was Marvel Day at Sea, where the ship takes on an entirely different feeling and flavor, and it's a single day, but even unlike the Star Wars, it just sort of bleeds out with character encounters. And you've heard me say this on board.
How about that strawberry soup? Just
the stage show, the nighttime. It's not even the stunt show, and with that encompasses many, many, many characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is the best show, not just at sea, but I would put it up against any Disney show on land. That's how good I think it is. My son would say the same thing. I loved it so much that I think we have to do it again. And so that is going to be our next WDW Radio cruise. I can't see Becky staring holes into because I can't say too much now. What I will tell you, because you can do a little investigating on your own, the Marvel Days at Sea cruises do take place only a limited number of cruises and only from a singular port. So it's a 5-night cruise from Miami to the Bahamas or the Western Caribbean. I'm not allowed to say which one or Becky will kill me. And we are going to, our next WDW Radio cruise is going to be one of those cruises in early 2021. Am I allowed to say that? Because I just did. I mean, if you message me, I'll tell you exactly when it is, you know, outside of Becky's earshot. She's literally going, dude, stop. But I think, like, I can't say exactly when because there are some pieces that have to fall into place. But I wanted you to be the first to know because part of the reason why we wanted to do this recap is, one, to turn you on to the idea of either cruising on Disney, the beauty of the Disney wonder, cruising out of New Orleans, and certainly cruising together as a group. And if you think this cruise was fun, wait until you layer on a day of Marvel fun, activities, costume parties, movie marathon. There's characters everywhere and lots of, I don't want to say too much, but so that is going to be our 2021 WDW Radio group cruise. Details to come later.
Yes. So now that you've given away everything,
I've said nothing
except
you just basically gave away the entire thing. FYI, we are in the process right now of signing the contracts and putting the groups together. So it will, when it's officially announced and not unofficially announced, Lou Mangello, then we're going to have the space ready to book into. So please don't go running out and book something else. I'm now getting Post-it note pictures that I can in front of me.
Right. So to be clear,
horses don't.
Do not. If you're interested in joining us, do not go and book on your own. We will have the first opportunity. We will share a link that you can book through Mouse Fan Travel in order so that you can be part and participate in our group activities. It's coming soon. How's that?
How's
Ish.
that strawberry soup again? I need a paper bag in here. Yep, work in progress. Hopefully very soon. Maybe this week.
The Journey into the Mystic Arts with Doctor Strange. Wait, no. The
which superhero has the power to shut somebody up from 25 miles
so
away?
Azure on the Wonder is Fathoms on the Magic. So this cruise takes place on the Disney Magic. The Fathoms on the Magic one night is turned into the Ravagers nightclub. So the Ravagers from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the
That would be super fun.
The Marvel Heroes Unite show is forget it. And you like trivia? Man, there's trivia all over the place.
Let's start brushing
you
up
got
now.
Nicholas, so you know.
Nicholas did beat me. Nicholas and I came in first and second. He beat me fair and square in trivia.
I
So
want
I
him
have
on
to.
my team.
we have to go back so I can redeem myself. So. But I want to thank you guys again. One, for joining us on the cruise. For when I say that you're part of my family, it is not just a word that I throw around. I hope that you know I've known a lot of you guys for a long, long time, and I do consider you more than just really close friends. I do consider you part of my family, and this for me was a family cruise, and I hope you felt the same way. I'm grateful that you spent tonight reminiscing with me. In some ways, this cruise seems like it was ages ago, and in some ways, it feels like it was yesterday. It went too fast. It just goes too fast. So, just very quickly, I'll let you sign off however you want to sign off and tell people where they can find you. I'm going to try and do this in some semblance of alphabetical order. So, Amanda Bonner.
You can find me at DisneyTravelForAll.com, and I have a new podcast on iTunes and all the podcast players, so please check that out.
Woo! Lisa Donato Glassner.
Yeah, you can find me at thecastlerun.com, of course, and on Instagram as The Castle Runner.
P before S, so Vanessa Prince.
I'm on WDW Radio blog under Vanessa Prince, and then also Andrew writes the accessibility for the blog under Disney on Wheels.
Crystal Steers.
So you can find me at chasinghappiness.ca. There are links to the Instagram and Facebook pages there. And on Facebook, I'm just Crystal Steers.
I'm going to put links to all these in the show notes. And Becky Mankin, if
You can
anybody...
find me in the next room banging my head against
But we knew that was coming.
as now I have to scramble really fast to get something done tomorrow. Or at Becky Mankin on all of the socials. And of course, MEI-travel.com for all of your vacation needs, not just Disney.
And you can find me probably at Cabanas going up to the buffet for my third or fourth time. Thank you guys so much. I love and appreciate you all. Very quickly, if you could snap your fingers and go and get on board the Disney Wonder right now for like 10 minutes, where would you go? Quick. Where? What would you do?
My first thing would be the spa.
What part of the spa? Like, are you a rainforest girl? Are you like the little tile chairs sitting outside?
Look, all of that is fun, but the one thing I've never done is tried out those personal massage rooms with the hot tubs in them. That would be my first go-to.
Wait, what? I've never even been to the spa over there. I need to see. Another reason why I need to go back. Gad, quick. Somebody else. Where would you go right now?
I go to French Quarter. It's my new happy place.
I'd be outside with a drink watching the ocean go by.
And I'd be in
Concierge
Azure
Lounge.
playing a game, not trivia, but some of the adult fun things that we were doing at 10 o'clock at night. Those were a blast.
I'm going to the concierge lounge to grab a bottle of wine.
And on that, listen, everybody finds their happy place in different locations. That's where Becky finds hers. I find mine right here with you, all 5 of you at the virtual table, and you, my friend, who I wish was on the cruise with us, but are here talking about it again. So I hope that you join us on a future cruise. Thank you guys so very much.
Oh, thank you, Lou.
Nobody talked about eating. Nobody even said room service.
You need a podcast that's just about the food.
Yeah.
This kind of is. That's kind of what this has evolved or devolved into.
Yeah, because we missed a lot still.
While this would normally be time for our Walt Disney World Trivia Question of the Week, as you remember from last show, I had a very special contest and giveaway that allowed you to enter for a chance to win $100 in Disney gift cards simply by doing what I've been asking you to do since day number 1, which is help spread the word. This community, this family exists and flourishes only because of you, and the only way really to help it go and grow is through you helping to spread the word, and that's what I asked you to do last week. So what I did was I wanted to make it as easy as possible. I posted an image in the WDW Radio community group on Facebook at wdwradio.com/community, and all you had to do was go out and share it and tag me or use hashtag WDW Radio on your blog or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. And a lot of you, the more shares, the better. Every entry counted, and what I did was randomly select one from all the different communities and platforms. And last week's winner of the $100 in Disney gift cards, randomly selected, is Matthew Woolley, who is, his username is Married to a Disney Addict on Instagram. Matthew, thank you. Congratulations. I appreciate all of you that did such an amazing job of helping to spread the word, not just last week, but really since we began the show 15 years ago. If you played last week and didn't win, that's okay, and thank you, because here's your next chance to enter in this week's $100 Disney gift card giveaway. I was so incredibly grateful and impressed with how many of you helped to spread the word, not just last week, but really since the very beginning. And so I wanted to give you another chance to win $100 in Disney gift cards by not just helping to continue to spread the word, but once again, doing something that I've been asking you to do since the very first show, which is rate and review. So now you have 2 ways that you can enter for a chance to win the $100 in Disney gift cards. One is by rating and reviewing the show on iTunes. How do you do it? Go to wdwradio.com/review. That's going to take you to the iTunes store on desktop or mobile. You can write a review there. And if you don't like the show, just please let me know privately. But if you do like the show, ratings and reviews are so incredibly helpful. Every review will count as an entry. You can also do the same as you did in the past, which is follow me on Instagram. I'm at Lou Mongello. I'll post a photo about this week's show and contest. All you need to do there, and I'll put these instructions there, is comment where would you like to go on a Disney Cruise Line cruise, maybe even for a future WDW Radio group cruise, and tag a friend that you'd love to take with you and invite them to listen as well. So that's all you need to do. Rate and review the show on iTunes, and or like and comment and tag a friend on the Instagram post. You can enter more than once. 1 review, multiple comments and tags. Again, remember, you have to tag a different friend in each comment, no fake accounts and things like that. I will once again randomly select 1 winner for a chance to win $100 in Disney gift cards that you can use online, your next trip to the parks, maybe even for your next Disney cruise. And because this week's show was posted a little late because of me coming back from the cruise, I'm going to give you a little bit of extra time, so you have until Sunday, March 1st at 11:59 p.m. Eastern, again, to rate and review the show, like, comment, and tag the post on Instagram. So thank you, good luck, and have fun. And also, stay tuned to Instagram for another contest coming up this week where you can win something very special that all I'll tell you is you can't buy on the cruise, and it's only available on the Disney Wonder. It's very cool. I almost hate to give them away, but I love them so much I want to share them with you. Stay tuned again, Instagram.com/Lou Mongello. Good luck. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you so very much once again for spending and sharing your time with me. I understand that your time is your most valuable commodity. There's no way to get or make more of it. So the fact that you choose to spend it with me means so very much. I also appreciate you being part of the community. I also want you to be part of the conversation. If you go to www.radio.com/community, you can not only talk about this week's show, any other episodes, but make and meet some wonderful like-minded friends as well. Again, it's www.radio.com/community. That is our Box People group over on Facebook. You can also connect with me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. I am at Lou Mongello there as well. Speaking of family and gratitude, I want to thank some of the new and longtime members of the WDW Radio Nation family. I appreciate your love, your support, your friendship, and help, and I also love being able to give back to you and say thank you to you each and every month. I want to thank some new and longtime members, including Russell Allen Boy, Brooke Avery, Dean, Angela Spencer, David R. Turner, Matthew Woolley, Tia Ong, Matthew Malcody, and Nicholas Butt. I really do appreciate you being part of the nation. If you want to find out how you can not only help the show, and being part of the nation goes a long way to helping the show, but you'll also get exclusive rewards every month, including scavenger hunts. We have a private Facebook group. I'll send you a custom Magic Band cover, logo gear, there's backpacks and t-shirts, live video group calls, as well as care packages monthly from Walt Disney World, and lots more. You also get early access to special events before tickets go on sale to the general public, and I'm also maybe working on a couple of other cool WDW Radio Nation specific things as well. Also, please don't forget, and this is so important, that a portion of the proceeds of your contribution, which is obviously completely optional, do go to our Dream Team project to benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation of America. Again, to find out more, to become part of the nation, you can visit www.radio.com/support. If you have a question you want me to answer on the air, you can email me, lou@wdwradio.com, or if you want to be heard on the air with a question, a comment, or just a hello from the parks, you can call the voicemail at 407-900-9391. That's 407-900-WDW1. Even leave a comment about this week's show, your Disney Cruise Line experience, or maybe a cruise that you'd love to take together as a group. And again, all these things are just ways to let you be part of and invite you to be part of our WDW Radio community and family. And as much as I love connecting with you online, you know, if you've listened to the show in the past, that nothing beats a handshake and a hug. And that's why I love to continue to do monthly meetups in Walt Disney World, as well as the special events. Our next meet of the month is going to be this Saturday, February 22nd. It is Princess Half Marathon Weekend. It seems like yesterday it was Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend. It's going to be this Saturday from 3 o'clock to 4:30 over in my favorite pavilion anywhere, which is Japan. We're going to be in a lower level seating area outside at Katsura Grill, again, Japan, 3 o'clock. If you go to www.radio.com/events, you can find out more, RSVP there. It's, of course, completely free. Come alone, bring the entire family. It is obviously always kid-friendly as well. There on the events page, you'll also find out about other upcoming events, meets of the month, live broadcasts, as well as on-the-road events as I travel to speak to conferences. I'll often do meetups while I am out as well. And if you go to LouMongello.com, you can find out how I can either come to speak at your conference, your event, to your business, or to your school, and two, I want to help, right? And B, I also want to help you turn what you love into what you do by speaking, mentoring, and events. I've been saying it, but this week I'm actually going to share information about our next Momentum Weekend workshop this fall in Walt Disney World, and my Momentum Weekend retreat, also in Walt Disney World, coming up this summer. So if you or someone you know is looking for a speaker for an event or to your business, I talk about everything from the Disney difference, sort of achieving the customer experience, what we can learn and implement from the Disney parks, leadership lessons, social media, live video, podcasting, the power of community, and you are the example of that, as well as other topics geared specifically towards students, businesses. Again, you can find out more by visiting LouMongello.com. Thanks as always to Becky Menken and the entire team at MouseFan Travel, not just for the amazing cruise that we all had together, but for what they have been doing for you, my friends, for more than 10 years. They are my official and recommended travel provider, whether you're going to Worldland or any Disney or other destination on this beautiful planet of ours. You can get a free no obligation quote at mousefantravel.com. Also check out Celebrations Magazine at celebrationspress.com. And as always, my friend, and you are my friend, if you like the show, please help spread the word, not just because it helps to grow our community and family, but this week you can also win the $100 Disney gift card. And if you like the show, please tweet out that you're listening, Share a link on Facebook or Instagram. And again, please go rate and review the show in iTunes. Again, visit www.radio.com/review. I want to thank some recent reviewers like David Iwan1013, who says it's informative, inspiring, and entertaining. Exactly what I want it to be. He says, among all the content Lou has excelled in with WDW Radio brand, it's a great podcast on many fronts. The passion Lou exerts is inspiring to listeners to gain interest in each episode topic and want to do similar work on their own interests. There are a lot of enticing and diverse topics to entertain the listener and bring new topics to attention. A lot of knowledge about many different aspects of the Disney company shared by Lou, and the strong collection of guests. I couldn't do this alone. Overall, fantastic job over all the years. The consistent variety and quality of the content succeeds in keeping Walt Disney World present in your mind and is a great listen to whether you need a lift in spirits. This is my go-to podcast when I'm going through a tough time or want to continue your positive state of mind. David, wow, man, thank you so very much. Obviously, I read these for the first time here on the show. The Shaggy Freak. I love the name, and I love his comment says, I'm not a fan. I'm part of a family. You got it, brother. WDW Radio is a lot more than your typical podcast. This is a show to listen to if you're into all things Disney. There's no doubt about that. And what really brings me back for each episode is the sense of community that Lou has helped shepherd into existence. You might consider yourself a fan after listening to a couple of episodes, but that quickly transforms into a feeling of family. I am proud to be part of that. Wow, man, you Shaggy Freak. You couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much. Jason Welch says, it's a great find in the sea of podcasts. Lou's an energetic and genuine host that works hard to create a podcast that really puts you back in the Disney magic while you listen. I've really enjoyed listening to both the current and past shows and listen in on someone as fired up about Disney as I am. Great stuff indeed. And April Fool 3 says, Lou is amazing. Your name scares me, but let's see what it says anyway. It says, it's my favorite podcast. Thank you, Lou, for what you put out in the world. I appreciate you. Man, April Fool, Jason, Shaggy Freak, and David, you guys really embody exactly what I'm talking about, right? This sense of community and family and mutual love and appreciation and respect. Thank you so, so very much. Again, if you go to www.radio.com/iTunes, it'll show you exactly how and where to leave a review. And again, my sincerest and humblest gratitude for you. I do this show not just because I have this incredible love for Disney and everything sort of under the Disney umbrella, but I just want to make your day happier. I want to be a positive influence in you and maybe even inspire you to be a little bit better. I think that's what we all want to do, is hopefully make a positive difference in this world and do things that our parents, our kids, our friends, and you will hopefully be proud of. And I go back to what I was saying last week about, choosing the good. Like, I choose the good. I choose to look on the bright side of not just Disney, but everything I do in my life. And I want you to hopefully look at things the same way, right? Try and find the good. Even if something's not perfect, choose the good and spread the word about that. So I hope that this is not just a good week or a great week for you, but really your best week ever. Thank you so, so much. I love you and I appreciate you. And so until next time, see ya.
Hi, Lou. It's Caleb from Dallas, and I had to tell you a story about something that happened to my family at Walt Disney World last month. We were meeting Aurora, and my 3-year-old daughter likes to give princesses little gifts whenever she meets them. So she'd made a little bracelet with a note that said, Love, Charlotte. So she gives this to Aurora in Epcot, who reads the note and gasps and says, You're Charlotte with the chickens. And we look at each other like, what the heck is going on? And she says, last time I met her, she told me she had chickens named Aurora and Maleficent, which is true. We've got chickens. Unfortunately, my daughter had to tell her that a cat ate her chicken, Aurora, and we had to get a new Aurora, which was just a gas. It had been a year since this conversation. Our annual passes were about to expire that we had gotten on the trip when we met Aurora the first time, and she remembered my daughter that story a year later. And if that's not Disney magic, I don't know what is. Just had to share this story. It's been a month and I can't stop thinking about it. And I thought everybody else might be tickled as well. So have a good one. Appreciate the show. See ya.
Hey, Lou. I just want to thank you for all of the nice podcasts that you've made and a lot of good times listening to them. So, yeah, thank you for that. Peace out.
Hey, Lou. Guess what? It's Christine Morrison again. from Flourtown, Pennsylvania. I'm out and about early this morning. It's just after 6 o'clock, and it's raining again. My yard is a mud pit. I just listened to your most recent podcast and top 3 resorts. So my new favorite area is the Epcot Resort area. Stayed at the Yacht Club in October, and it was just fabulous. I loved it. Just that whole area is beautiful and magical, and I could see the fireworks from Epcot off my balcony, and I can't wait to take my kids there. But I just love it. It's wonderful to walk around and talk to people and get their stories. I just love the Epcot Resort area, and that's my new favorite spot. I also love Art of Animation. I stayed in the Cars Family Suite just a few months after they opened with my family, and we loved it there. It was awesome. We spent a whole afternoon at the Nemo pool, listening to the music under the water. Pretty cool feature. And that's about it. That's all I wanted to say. I want everybody to have a wonderful day. It's Tuesday. We're almost halfway through the week, but it doesn't matter because we're all loving life. And it's going to be a great day, even though I'm driving in the rain, running around. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and make somebody smile. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Good morning, everyone. It's Darlene Agee, formerly of West Seneca, New York, and I'm calling in. It's a beautiful, beautiful day here. I got to see my very first solar launch last night, which was really cool, from my backyard, of all places. I'm so excited. I got to ride Ride of the Resistance, and everybody that I know from the WDW Radio Group and new friends is on the New Orleans cruise to Key West, NASA Castaway Key. I can't wait to hear all about that cruise. The pictures look great. I would love to get to Key West one of these days. I hope you have a magical day. Please stay positive, like Lou always says. Love and hugs, and hope you guys all have a wonderful Valentine's Day. And Lou, thanks for sharing your cruise.